At 7, the Royal Marston's on the road to recovery. Racism is rife in Britain's immigration detention centres, and Big Brother host isn't sure about its new format. It's 7 o'clock, I'm Mark McQuillan. The Royal Marston Hospital in Chelsea plans to reopen its outpatient department and its medical day unit on Monday. The announcement comes just 24 hours after a fire that destroyed the upper part of the building was brought under control. John Ironmonger has more from the LBC News Centre.
Well, management at the hospital have been assessing the damage to yesterday's fire this morning. It's thought 5 operating theatres and 2 wards were very badly affected, but the consensus seems to be that it could have been worse. It appears the electricity supply is still working, and firefighters have been praised for controlling the spread of the fire to the upper level. Now it's hoped some services and facilities will be up and running after the weekend. Meanwhile, an investigation into what caused the fire is continuing, and 20 firefighters are still at the site to help the clean-up operation.
An official report's found a catalogue of racist behaviour inside Britain's immigration detention centres. The document by the Border and Immigration Agency spotlights Colmsbrook and Harmondsworth near Heathrow in particular. It's claimed offenders or asylum seekers have been called animals, and the atmosphere has been described as distressing. The flight plans of thousands of Londoners can go ahead after unions called off strikes that threatened to close Heathrow, Gatwick and Stansted. Thousands of staff members took issue with their pension schemes and were due to walk out in January. They've struck a deal with airport operators. And there have been more calls for an end to the violence in Kenya, including one from the country's president. Major tour operators in the UK have suspended holidays there as protests against the election result continue to grow. Rival MP Fred Uta says there's only one way to resolve the problems there.
The violence can only be stopped if Mwai Kibaki will be willing to resign his illegitimate as the president of Kenya and come to a negotiation table with the ODM president.
In sport, Andy Murray stormed into a semi-final place at the Qatar Open after beating Thomas Johansson of Sweden this afternoon. The British number 1 took the first set in a tie-break but won the second 6-love. And celebrity Big Brother host Dermot O'Leary has reportedly criticised the decision to change the show's format after last year's race row. Apparently he thought it was a mistake. Big Brother Celebrity Hijack airs on Channel 4 later. In London's travel, the A13 is down to 1 lane heading into town on the Beckton flyover because of an accident there, which is causing delays back onto the North Circular. And London's weather overnight, milder air spreading and sleet, rain and snow will be moving away, leaving a dry night with some cloud. Minimum temperature of 3 degrees Celsius in town, -2 degrees in the suburbs. You're with LBC. The time is 7:03.
This is Alan Joyce in the LBC 97.3 Travel Centre. Just coming in now, details of problems on the M25 where there are 3 lanes closed clockwise just after the QE2 bridge following an accident. It's just after you get through the toll booths, in fact, so causing delays heading round towards the Dartford area. To add your updates if you're there, 08000 68 60 80. The A13 in Beckton's down to 1 lane heading into town on the flyover because of an accident causing queues from the North Circular. Fulham Road and Sydney Street in Chelsea have now fully reopened following yesterday's fire at the Royal Marston Hospital. There are still some side roads closed in the area, though. Delays on the M1 both ways through the roadworks section after a couple of broken down cars, one on each side. The M40 has fully reopened now, heading out to town at Junction 1 for Denham, heading up towards the M25, and it looks as though the delays have eased down as well. Heading on to the trains, Virgin are still not running this evening between Northampton and Birmingham, but they're hopefully going to be back up and running tomorrow. Highbury and Islington stations just been closed, affecting the tubes and the trains. The fire alarms have gone off there, and there were delays on the Piccadilly line as well. Your next update is in 15 minutes. LBC 97.3 Travel with Confused.com, the online search engine for car insurance.
LBC 97.3.
Absolutely.
0845 60 60 973.
Nick Abbott.
Now, wait a minute. I don't like that kind of talk. Now, just stop it. It upsets me.
Some men pay for sex directly with cash, some pay for it indirectly with dinners and diamonds, and some pay for it by losing half their house, custody of the kids, and the family pet when they're found having it with someone half their wife's age. But it seems that man is not the only animal on God's green earth to pay for sex. Macaque monkeys pay for it by grooming, the process of picking insects from the hair of their intended. The macaque female has sex, on average, 1.5 times an hour, which you'd think would be exhausting enough, but this increases to an average of 3.5 times an hour when they've been groomed by a suitable male. And just as humans, the availability of mates determines just how much value is put on their affections. When there are few females around, the male macaque must put in a full 16 minutes of picking and combing. When there is a smorgasbord of available females, he has only to put in a perfunctory 8 minutes before he has his wicked monkey way. This is an example of the biological market. At the other end of the evolutionary scale, it seems that Britain has the worst pregnancy rate in schoolgirls in the Western world. More than 20 youngsters are becoming pregnant every day in this country. In some areas, one schoolgirl in 50 is with child. Lambeth, Southwark and Lewisham are among the worst areas in Europe. The schoolboys in these places must be picking nits at their girlfriends' hair on an industrial scale. Yet again, we're number one. We're number one for being fat as well. And it's because of fast food. We can't help it. It's so nice.
Isn't Scotland the second highest obese place in the world or something silly like that? Did I hear this morning? Or am I making that up?
Scotland is famous for its poor health record. Yeah. I think the average age expectancy in Scotland is 16.
When do they start on the deep-fried Mars bars? From birth?
In the womb, yeah. I lived in Scotland for a good long while, and I never, ever saw a deep-fried Mars bar either being eaten or on sale. I don't believe that such a thing exists.
It's a specialty. You have to ask for it special.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What, you have to get it custom-made?
Probably.
Like a suit on Savile Row, yeah. Britain's fondness for hamburgers, chips and pizza has... Now, hang on a minute. Pizza. What's wrong with pizza? Pizza is pizza's practically a health food. It's bread with tomato sauce, which is good for many and various different things. That actually, tomato sauce is supposed to be better for you than actual tomatoes.
Really?
Because it's been broken down before it gets into your body. Because the body isn't too good on breaking down actual tomatoes. So apparently, if you eat processed tomatoes, that is, tomatoes that have come in a tin, or even ketchup, it's much better for you than eating actual tomatoes. Can that be true? This is one of those nonsense things that you hear on the radio or television from someone who should know better, who's just spouting off a load of old guff that they half know, and was also being complained about in the newspapers today. People like Sarah Beanie and supermodels telling you that you must go out and eat a diet that only consists of avocados, and only then will you remain young and beautiful, which is your duty, of course, to be beautiful. Almost half of us say we enjoy fast food too much to give it up. Taking UK to the top of the world's junk food league. The top. We're number one. Not even America eats as much fast food per person as we do. But which is actually really scary, isn't it? I mean, we pretend that we're very much against America in this country. We like to kid ourselves that we're much brighter than they are. We're more thin and svelte and smart than they are. And almost the entire reverse is true. That we have a better democracy than they do. Theirs is all about who do you like the most on television. But if you think about it, we have a Prime Minister that nobody even voted for. Not one single person in this country, including in the party that that he represents, voted for the man who's currently our leader. What kind of a democracy is that? So, based on television, it might be, but it seems that America actually has a much better level of democracy than we do. The people are more clearly represented there than they are here. Something like a third of the population voted for Labour at the last general election. A third, as in two-thirds, 66% didn't want them, either directly or just because they couldn't be bothered to go out and vote. And yet, they have a majority in Parliament. How on earth does that come about in a democracy? Anyway, that has nothing to do with this story. The healthiest eaters are, have a guess, have a wild stab in the dark. I'll bet you get it first time.
The Italians.
Now, I would imagine that the Italians would be on a par with the actual correct answer, which is the French.
That was going to be my...
Yeah.
But then I thought maybe that's a bit too obvious.
Fewer than 1 in 5 in France admits to a fast food craving. And when I was in Paris just the other month, I didn't see... well, actually, that's a lie. I saw one McDonald's. Other than that, not one single fast food joint at all. Now, I'm sure that they exist, but they perhaps didn't exist where I was going around, which was the tourist areas around the, basically I was stuck to between the Eiffel Tower, the Louvre, Notre Dame, the Tuileries Gardens, and so on. In other words, the areas where all the tourists go. Now, if you go to the areas where all the tourists go in London, you can't move for burger wrappings, right?
I know they've got... I was down by the Tower of London the other day, and it's all fast food joints next to it.
Is it?
Like, yeah, it's like, here's the 1,000-year-old, Tower of London, and here's the McDonald's next to it. I don't know if that's just to make the Americans feel at home. It's like, neat, they got a McDonald's here, is everything. I just thought that is ridiculous.
Of course, in France, they don't have quarter pounders.
Yeah.
Le Royale with cheese.
Yeah, that's right.
Le Big Mac.
And do you know why they don't have quarter pounders?
They don't do things by quarters.
Metric system.
There's the metric system. The healthiest eaters of the French, fewer than 1 in 5 admits to a fast food craving. The research for the BBC found that 45% of Brits like the taste of fast food too much to give it up. It doesn't have any taste. Isn't that the whole point of fast food? That it has taste that almost... you can eat it without tasting it. It's bland, like everything else that sells the best in this country. It's the most bland of its type. I thought that was the very nature of fast food, that it didn't taste of anything. It's like baby food.
Some can be tasty.
Yeah, I think it's the opposite though. It's like pumped full of sugars and salts and that it's it's a kind of overly tasty.
Is it? Yeah. Because I don't remember it being tasty
so that's
at
why
all.
You crave it.
Like not tasty in the same manner that anchovies, for instance, are tasty. Or
you wouldn't get the same flavours, no, but you can definitely taste something there.
In the US, 45% here like the taste of fast food too much to give up. In the US, the figure was 44%, where, of course, they invented fast food. Our fast food used to be, traditionally, fish and chips, which isn't all that fast. Burgers, you can turn them around, well, they're already made, aren't they? They've been sitting under hot lights for hours on end. So in the place that they invented this stuff, well, we have now overtaken them. The third place went to, surprising this...
Singapore?
No.
Oh.
Wales.
No, we'll have to include Wales and Scotland and Northern Ireland as the UK, whether they like it or not. The United Arab Emirates.
What?
The United Arab Emirates. Very difficult to say. 35% there are hooked on junk food. The market research firm which carried out the poll said the French, only 19% of whom admitted a fondness for fast food, value the combination of good food and company. Sharing classic food and time with loved ones is the key to the French sensibility, and this goes to the heart of why they're less falling about the street drunk than we are too. French people take care of their image as a matter of course, he says. Being thin is part of their culture and a point of pride. They're known for it. That's the thing that occurred to me when I was in Paris as well. There's no fat people, except for us English-speaking tourists. When I went to have breakfast, because the room from the hotel didn't include breakfast. I find it very irritating when they do that. Here's the room. We'll charge you an arm and a leg. And oh, by the way, when you get there, breakfast isn't included. Breakfast in the hotel, 30 quid.
What?
30 pounds. You and Carol there in perfect harmony. That was a beautiful thing.
Breakfast is not served.
So I used to go outside and go to the cafe down the street. And French people, and I would be ordering the full... Well, they didn't call it a full English breakfast, but the largest breakfast you have, please, monsieur, which would be eggs, bacon, toast, croissant, orange juice, and lashings of hot black coffee. French people who...
I haven't had my dinner yet, so I'm talking about food and I'm just...
French people, yeah, and what's your dinner? Fast food, I bet. Something you stick in a microwave and wave.
I've got no choice.
Yes, you have. You could make it at home.
Yeah, but then I'd have to come and stick it in the microwave.
No, you could just eat it cold. French people, while I was enjoying the full fat option, French people would come in and have a thimbleful. You'd virtually need to get out an electron microscope to see the amount of coffee they were drinking, and 3 fags.
And spitting at you.
That was their breakfast. And, a Gallic shrug.
Yeah.
3 fags, a shrug, and an espresso, please.
Were you dressed in a similar high fashion style as you are today? Well,
yeah. I was wearing it was early in the morning, just as the sun was rising. Yeah, of course, I was in my adult romper suit, as I always am. Tracksuit pants, sweatshirt and a T-shirt. I stood out like a sore thumb. Fortunately, I speak French fluently. Non. It's 7:15. LBC Travel with Alan Joyce.
Thanks, Nick, and if you're heading on...
Nick Abbott.
And I can't stand him.
Apparently it's been very, very, very quiet on the phones today. In much the same way that it was very, very quiet on the roads today. I'm getting a bit sick of paying the congestion charge, so I thought I'll sit outside today, the ends of my finger for about half an hour, writing the excellent start to this super show. Which, if it wasn't that great, then I'll put it down to the numbness that ensued by sitting in a car with the engine off. Because I wouldn't sit in a car with the engine on, with the heater going, because that's not saving the planet. So I sat out there for half an hour. What glory is driving on the streets of London between Christmas and the second week of the new year, eh? I still can't get over it. I'm going to go out again tomorrow. It's worth the £8 charge just to drive around. I'm not going to go anywhere. I just want to see empty streets and a sea of green lights. Anyway, so the phone number here, 0845 6060 973. Otherwise, it'll just be me talking my face off for 3 hours. Because Raj is sitting there, and he's all with an expectant look on his little cheery face, and he hasn't got anything to do unless you call him, and then he'll be running around like a one-armed cab driver with crabs, or however that goes. Not running around exactly, but busy. Anyway, the rest of this story, for the few of those surveyed on about the fast food and the fact that now we are the biggest consumers of fast food in the world per head of population, a few of those surveyed blame the government for the rising levels of their own obesity. Well, that's nice. It's not Gordon's fault. It's rather surprising, actually, that they wouldn't blame the government. What they did do, on the other hand, is they blamed supermarkets for the variety of unhealthy food available on the shelves. Can you believe that? Oh, it ain't my fault. I ain't done nothing. It's 'cause they keep shoving it in my face. They put it on the shelves, so how can I avoid eating it? No one accepts responsibility for their actions at all in this country, up to and including what they put in their own mouths. Oh, I ain't done it. I ain't done nothing. Experts have warned that an entire generation faces an old age blighted by heart disease, cancer and diabetes and other illnesses brought on by obesity. The problem is not confined to adults. Child obesity has trebled in the last 20 years, with 10% of 6-year-olds, 17% of 15-year-olds now obese. Now, if 17% of 15-year-olds are classed as obese, now obese is beyond a level where you're really, really fat, right? So if 17% are obese, as in round, with 2 feet sticking out the bottom.
As wide as you are tall.
Yes, exactly, like a weeble who will wobble but they won't fall down. Then you'd have to think that over 50% would reasonably be described as fat. Now, when I was at school, I can remember one fat kid. One.
There was always one, wasn't there? Just one fat kid in the year.
Which may have been a glandular problem or whatever it is that a medical condition that, despite your best efforts, will render you plump. Everybody else was thin, because that's just what children were. You run around, you scream and you shout, and you spit and smoke fags, you know. That's how we remained thin. That's how Kate Moss still does it. A report compiled by 250 leading scientists in October, and you'd have to think that it's the parents' fault. If, as a parent, you see your kid coming home with ketchup and mayonnaise all over his face, the size and shape of a butterball, then you would have to do something about it, you'd think, as a caring parent. But mostly, I would imagine, they say, oh, get out of the way, I'm watching Trisha. A report compiled by 250 leading scientists in October warned that if current trends continue, 60% of men and 50% of women and a quarter of children in the UK will be obese by 2050. The associated health problems will cost taxpayers, and that's you, £45 billion a year. Wow. Not million, billion. First in, the M25. Hey, Alex.
Hiya.
Alex.
It's regarding the fast food.
Yeah.
I eat not a massive share of fast food, and I'm quite healthy, and so are my children. The thing is, with these obese people who eat fast food, they don't eat a normal portion. They go in and they have extra this, extra that, extra the other, and a Diet Coke to go with it.
It's always a Diet Coke. Yeah, I'd like a bucket of fried fat and a Diet Coke because I'm watching my health. Yeah.
That's it. But they eat too much of it. Fast food isn't unhealthy if you eat it in normal quantities or once or twice in a week. It's when these people are eating fast food, KFC and all the other McDonald's day in and day out, twice a day. That's where they become the fatty fat pack. I mean, I eat maybe one or two McDonald's in a week. My kids will eat one or two McDonald's in a week. We have home-cooked food the rest of the week.
Right.
You know, and I don't find it unhealthy. It's just I limit what I eat. It's all the fat junkies, they don't limit what they eat. They have got to eat as much as they possibly can in a short given time. And that's why they get fat.
I think you've got something there, Alex. Thanks a lot, mate.
All right, cheers.
That's mobile telephone technology. That's the sound that he had on that mobile phone was piercing. I feel like I need new eardrums. It was very, very sharp sound. Not deep and mellifluous, like this next chap. South Norwood. It's Mr. Lister.
Good evening, Nick.
Philip.
I went out today, I fancied buying a cake, and I'm not talking about a little tiny cake, I'm talking about a cake, you know, I could cut a slice when I have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee.
Right, like a wedding cake.
Well, no, not as big as that, but I went into the local supermarket and I counted over 14 different theme cakes.
Theme cakes?
Yes.
Theme cakes?
Yes. For example, My Little Pony cake.
Oh, right, that kind of thing.
And there were 3 football cakes, Arsenal, Chelsea, and Manchester United, which had sold out. And this is in Elmer's End, so I don't know, must have a lot of supporters down there.
Yeah, well, they don't have any supporters in Manchester itself. They're all outside.
They're all out here, are they? Mm. I didn't see a Crystal Palace cake, which would have been local, but it wasn't there.
Well, not a big seller, I wouldn't think.
No.
By the way, no footballer that plays for any of those teams eats cake. Just want to mention that in passing.
Oh, is that a fact?
Yeah, that's why they look like they do, and that's the way we all look like we do. Cake munchers.
Oh, I never thought of that. There was Sponge Pants Bob cake?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Sponge Pants Bob cake. I think he's great.
Oh, I must admit, I've seen him, but I've never seen him at a complete show, you know.
No, I've gone past it as I'm flipping around channels. It looks like the most psychedelic program I've ever seen in my life.
Really, you know,
freaky, yeah.
There was I've got to get this right. Raptor cake. So we know them animals that were on Jurassic Park.
Oh, velociraptors.
Yeah, you can have one of their cakes. Yeah. They'd probably eat you, not eat them instead.
Birds are velociraptors, little tweety birds. Velociraptors.
And they bite, do they? Oh, right. A High School Musical cake.
You know, the BBC spent £1 million on that saccharine nonsense. £1 million of our pounds.
It's very popular, though, I
don't care. If the BBC has got no business spending our money on that tripe.
It's Disney, isn't it?
Yes.
I think it's Disney. A Tigger cake. I suppose that Winnie the Pooh, isn't it, Tigger?
Tigger, yeah, he was the wonderful... How did he go? The one Tigger, because he's a wonderful thing. Bouncy, 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 bouncy.
Yeah, because Winnie the Pooh was that great voiceover who passed away not a little while ago, Sterling Holloway, who did the voice for that.
Oh, yes.
Barbie and Ken cake.
Really?
So I suppose the girls have Barbie. I don't know. I mean,
well, it could be a Barbie and Ken divorce cake. You could cut it down the middle and separate the two.
Well, I'm just digging for a second. You remember when there was all this controversy in America about the Mattel toys the toys being returned?
No.
Oh, from China.
Oh, yeah, China was sending poisonous toys to our children.
Well, there was a cartoon in one of the American newspapers, and it had Ken and Barbie together, and Ken turns to Barbie and said, "I've got some bad news. I've been recalled." which I thought was quite... Curly Cat. Who's Curly Cat?
I've no idea.
Yeah, there's Curly Cat cake.
Curly Cat.
Thomas the Tank Engine cake.
Oh, yeah, I remember that, yeah.
Beverly Manor. Now, who's Beverly Manor? I couldn't see inside the box because it was...
I know who Beverly Macca is, but I don't know who Beverly Manor is.
Beverly Manor.
Beverly Macca was the off-screen character in the royal family who was always after Denise's beau.
Oh, no, I don't think it was anything to do with the royal family. Yeah, I know you R-O-Y-L, and yeah. Purple Ronnie. I've heard of him.
Purple Ronnie?
Yeah.
It sounds like a pill that kids in the 60s would take to stay up all night.
I think it's...
I'm on about 3 Purple Ronnies a day now, man.
And have a bit of cake and all, yeah. And do you know what cake I ended up buying?
5 seconds to go.
A Scooby-Doo cake.
Scooby-Doo! Like I said.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Philip. I hope you enjoy it. Why not? 08, like the man says, 0845 6060 973. Barnett, Mirelle, Marbell.
Hello, Nick. How you doing?
I am all right, thanks.
I'm going to wish you a Happy New Year because I haven't spoken to you since
thanks a lot, Mirelle.
I wanted to speak. I heard a caller saying about fat kids. I want to cover the other side of it, Nick. You know, if you're in a supermarket, okay, I don't know if you've done this, and I mean, I notice it regularly. You've got mum and dad and a few teenagers, say two or three kids. None of them are overweight, okay, but you look in their shopping trolley and it is atrocious. Everything's processed, okay? There's not one decent, healthy bit of food in there. It's pizzas or it's fish in batter or it's, God forbid there's a vegetable. And you look at them and you think, no, they're not overweight, but they look pasty. They look absolutely ill. So I think the kids that you can see, okay, is right, you can see in, if their parents are decent, they should turn around and say, right, we've got to cut down on the fat food.
Yeah, but then about, oh, Mum.
Oh, but what about the ones you can't see? The kids that necessarily they do have a higher rate, so they burn it up. But the food they're getting is, there was this one trolley and there wasn't one decent bit of food. Oh, yes, there was. There was a loaf of brown bread. That was it. On a trolley that must have been at least 100 quid. It was atrocious.
I think the key is, and it seems blindingly obvious to me, it would also be cheaper and much more healthy than all of that stuff that comes in boxes, is don't bypass the vegetable section.
Absolutely.
Cook food from scratch.
Well, and the thing is, what everybody doesn't realise, Nick, is everything you buy in a box, you're paying for the box.
You're paying for the box, and you're paying for somebody to chop it all up and to put it into, and to squirt it into a foil container,
And it tastes revolt. I can't...
Well, I've worked in a factory where they manufacture stuff that they squirt into a foil container, and the reason why it tastes revolting is, I won't get into it.
I was going to say, can't you tell us some stories? It might put people off.
Well, here's a story. The steak and kidney pie was, I think, a chicken pie, something like that, was what we were making on this one line. And the goop that goes into the pie doesn't smell that bad when it's in...
What's the goop? You mean the sauces?
Well, no, all the contents of the pie.
Oh, I see, right, yeah.
The stuff that keeps the pastry apart.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't smell that bad when it's in the quantity that fills a pie. However, it smells pretty rank and looks vomitous when it's in a barrel that's so large it has to come on wheels and is about 4 foot in diameter and comes up to your chest. It's huge.
Yeah.
And so the barrel gets lifted up and poured into a hopper. And you have to take your arm and scrape the inside of the barrel and slap it into the top of the hopper, which then, by gravity, pushes the contents into 2 tubes, which then squish the contents out into a pie in...
like sausage tubes?
Yeah, 2 tubes like fat versions of those things that pastry chefs squirt icing on.
I know what you mean.
But, of course, when the hopper becomes a little low, then gravity doesn't work its magic anymore, and our task was to push the mixture down into the little tube so that it would squirt out into the pies, and no one would get shortchanged.
Right.
Unfortunately, one man didn't understand the concept of the tubes actually being closed at one end, the hopper end, a little gate would come across, and then it would push down what was left in the tube. And he was pushing it down with his hands, and his fingers weren't entirely flat. And one of his fingers was in the tube when the gate came across, thereby cutting his finger off and squirting it into a pie. He, in shock, looked at his hand, which wasn't, of which he was expecting more, and just walked out.
Oh, my...
An hour later, the word came around that someone's finger was in one of these thousands of pies that were all racked up and ready to be cooked. And would you mind, ever so kindly, hunting through all these pies with your bare hands to see if you can't discover his finger?
Oh, no.
There were thousands of them.
And then they just pushed them all back together and put them in boxes.
Well, it's not a hunt that you really want to be a part of, is it? Because you're searching for something that will be revolting when you find it. Eventually, they gave up and just ditched the lot. But the hopper's still working.
Oh, I don't know. I've nipped my dinner yet.
Hope it's not sausages.
Sorry.
It's not chipolatas, is it?
No, it's something healthy.
Oh, right.
Grilled salmon.
Good for you.
Grilled salmon. But yeah,
It's not farmed salmon, is it?
Well, you were talking about the French saying that they're the healthiest eaters.
Yeah.
This woman who came over from France, I was chatting to her in the supermarket. I went to where I thought the healthy bit of salmon was, and she put her nose up in disgust. She said they wouldn't eat, the fresh fish. She said in France, she said we wouldn't eat this.
Why?
She said it's absolute. Well, she said that the salmon's died, which we know. Okay, it doesn't come out pink. She said it's farmed. She said it all looks too perfect.
I thought salmon does come pink.
No, it doesn't.
Well, it doesn't come really ruddy pink like farmed salmon does. But if you get organic wild salmon, then it does have a healthy, less vivid pink. It gets pinker when it's smoked, but if you look at organic salmon next to ordinary salmon, then you'll see that the organic salmon is very, very pale.
Actually, that's true, yeah. But she put her nose up at the whole fish counter.
Right.
She said it was disgusting.
Well, most fish counters I see in supermarkets I wouldn't touch with a fisherman's barge pole, no.
So I'm not surprised that the French are the healthiest. But, you can't keep eating and it's just, the kids are going to die before their parents. I just think it's sad.
Well, it could be the first generation where that happens, yeah.
But anyway, so that is it. So it's not just fat kids, it's thin kids that are being badly fed.
And the key is, cook everything from scratch. It might not be easy when you start to do it, but practice makes perfect, and it'll get easier. I mean, even if you only know 5 things.
But the thing is, Nick, right, you don't have to be a cordon bleu cook.
No.
To cook. This is what the fallacy is. Oh, you have to cook like Jamie Oliver, or you have to cook like Nigella. You don't. And, how did our parents, manage to cook? Nobody trained them. They just got on with it.
Well, spag bol is very easy to cook from scratch. No problem at all. You get some mince and you put some tomato sauce on it, and Bob's your uncle.
Well, look what I've got. I've got grilled salmon, a couple of potatoes, and some vegetables, and a fresh fruit salad.
Oh, sounds lovely.
It's absolutely delicious. This is my very healthy day, but it's absolutely delicious. And it's taken me, 15 minutes?
Right.
So...
It took you longer to describe it than it did to cook it.
Exactly, and to eat it. But it really is, it sounds like really healthy, but it's delicious.
Yeah.
And it's good for you.
There you go.
And it's not expensive.
Right.
Okay, tomorrow it'll be pizzas all the way.
My favourite.
Thanks a lot, Nick.
Cheers, Merle.
Take care.
But only as long as you make the pizza from scratch, because that pizza stuff that comes in a box, including the ones that they bring around by bike, they are rubbish. What you got there, Alex? I want you to read the contents out on air. You got the box?
No, sadly I disposed of the box.
Where is it?
Downstairs. A long way away from here.
Well, you can go and get it during the news at 8 o'clock, and then you can read out what it is.
No, the nice bin man, took it away.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, so if I go nip down there during the news, it won't be there?
Mm-hmm, correct.
All right. Well, what is it, then?
It's lamb and potatoes and vegetables.
Well, that doesn't sound so bad.
No, it's from a top people's store.
Oh, is it? Really?
Yeah.
What, Fortnum's deliver here, do they?
Yeah.
Burton-on-Trent. Hello, Adrian.
Hello, Nick. How you doing?
Good, thanks.
Yeah. Well, I thought to give you a call, so I need cheering up, because it's back to the doom and gloom tomorrow.
Oh, you're going to work tomorrow?
Yeah.
You'll be, that's an odd day to go to work.
Well,
Friday.
I work an odd shift, as I've said before, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Oh, right.
So that's like the beginning of my week.
Right. I do notice, I mean, I have mentioned it before, that driving around London, I don't think barely 50%. I would go further than that. I think that almost 60-70% of people have not gone back to work this week, because the roads are deserted.
Yeah, I mean, even I know I live in a relatively quiet place compared to what you do, but even, you know, with my journey to work, it's only about 20 minutes, but on a Friday, normally like this, it's lots of the schools going in and that, I go about 2 or 3 miles out of my way to avoid all the sort of congestion.
Yeah. Not necessary now. No. I bet it won't be necessary tomorrow. Come Monday, then the horror will resume.
The horror, yeah. You said that...
Like a snail crawling along a straight razor. Apocalypse Now.
Well, while I'm talking about cars, you ever find it hard to get the tax disc off that paper when you get your tax?
Yes, I do, and that's something that nobody has probably ever said out loud, but we're all irritated by it every year. Why is it round? It's round with perforated edges, making it impossible to tear in a straight line.
Yeah, because you think, yeah.
And the perforations aren't perforated enough. It still clings doggedly to the square of paper that it's printed on. Yeah, that's actually a very good point.
One looks like it's been attacked by some scissors or something. I mean, it's like, yeah, I can start stripping. You think, I better not keep going from this point.
Yeah, it really is. Scissors is the only way you can remove it successfully in one piece. It's true.
Oh, I'm glad that I'm not the only one that thinks that.
No, and it is only once a year, or twice if you're too tight to pay for 12 months all in one go. Yeah, but it is one of those things that adds to the general disappointment of life.
Yeah, that could be.
Is that going too far?
I really cheer people up with the general disappointment of life. Yeah, these bars, you said you'd never actually seen one.
No, I lived in Edinburgh for about 3-4 years, something like that, and I never saw anybody eat one. I never saw one on sale. I never heard of such a thing. I think it's a fallacy.
No, I did have one years ago when I was young. Yeah, when you're young and you're sort of out with the lads, you had about 10 pints or whatever. And they're selling them in the chip shops.
A deep-fried Mars bar. Well, presumably they're frying it in the same batter that they fry fish in.
Sickly, horrible thing I've ever had.
Fish-flavoured chocolate.
Well, I mean, I'm not really selling this one, but it's no good for you, obviously. You might as well, like, pour lard down your veins, directly. Plus, I mean, it's caramel, isn't it? So, it's also very dodgy to eat hot.
Yeah, well, caution filling is hot, yeah. So, does it maintain its shape and structure inside, or does it all just turn to goo?
No, it's all goo. But, I mean, I've been reading on...
So when you bite into it, it's liquid?
Yeah.
Oh.
Melted.
Because here's a tip, by the way. If you are making... You know, and after talking about health foods, this isn't going to help at all. But if you want hot fudge sauce to put on your ice cream, and if you've tried melting chocolate to put on ice cream, it will solidify on contact with the with your iced sweet treat.
Yeah, but
if you're get a Mars bar, a little dash of milk in a saucepan, and cook it up, the resulting chocolatey gooey mess doesn't solidify on contact with ice cream and remains gooey and warm.
Yeah, but I had a quick look on the internet, and apparently it started life out in Australia as a joke on a sketch show, and sort of got picked up by people.
A deep-fried Mars bar?
Yeah.
Really?
That was like back in the early 80s. I mean, I'm not sure if you get them around here now, but that was sort of, like I say, 10, 15
And did you like it?
No, it was the worst thing I've ever had in my life.
Yes.
Plus, I mean, you can get deep-fried ice cream in places like America. I wouldn't try it, but...
well, it sounds like the sort of thing that Heston Blumenthal would come up with, but he's crazy. Here, listen, mate, I'm past the break.
Right,
Thanks a lot, mate. All right.
Okay, bye-bye.
And, he's back to work tomorrow. Almost all of London will be back to work on Monday. Feeling happy?
Unhappy, unhappy, very unhappy, 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 very, 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 very unhappy.
Just checking. 7:46. LBC Travel with Alan Joyce.
Thanks, Nick. And if you're on the M25, there are 2 lanes blocked going clockwise.
Okie dokie.
Talking about top people's stores, as we were. By the way, still very quiet. Very quiet. Not a soul was stirring. 0845 6060 973. Talking about top people's stores, as we were, Alex, there's one top people's store in London that's, and I mentioned this the other day, and with each passing day you see on the news, it amuses me more and more. Well, it's not funny, there's nothing funny about it, apart from, during their sale, if you spend more than £250, you get to enter a competition to win, first prize, a 2-week holiday in Kenya.
Good timing.
Yes. Second prize, a 4-week holiday in Kenya. I think that'll be a very easy competition to win.
Mm-hmm.
Entrance, 0. Talking about food, by the way. Essays by a Victorian doctor who actually their name is very famous to us even today. His name, rather. Essays by a Victorian doctor who was struck off for claiming that smoking was bad for the health are to be published again. Can you imagine that? A doctor was struck off for saying that smoking is bad for you. How times change. And you'd have to think that on the basis of that, you can't believe a single word that the medical profession is telling us about anything. I mean, apart from the obvious, that they change their minds on virtually a daily basis. And what is good for you, printed writ large in the papers one day, is announced to be bad for you the next. And who can even keep up anymore? But smoking used to be thought of as so good for you that they struck a doctor off for saying the opposite. Dr. Thomas Allinson's letters were published in 1893, where they were so controversial that the General Medical Council struck him off a year later. Dr. Allinson grew up in Manchester and qualified as a doctor from Edinburgh University in 1881. When he opened his GP surgery in the south of London, he noticed the poor quality of life for many people. He advocated 3 hours a day of walking or other exercise, told people not to work too hard, to cut down on salt, eat more fruit and vegetables, avoid tea and coffee before bed, and to go teetotal. This was considered so objectionable by the medical establishment that they deprived him of his living. He was also an enthusiastic vegetarian. Oh, vegetarianism. I remember that.
Boring!
He was also, his advice to give up smoking appalled society, as doctors, get this, regularly recommended a cigar as a way to clear the lungs.
What?
He was also against many medical drugs of the day, which included poisons such as arsenic, mercury, and opiates. Arsenic was a part of the doctor's medical armoury. Dr. Allinson is probably best known today for the name of the bakery he founded that still bears his name. That stuff that's on the bread shelf. Archivists working for the bakers have published a free pamphlet containing his original health guide. And on the subject of bread, by the way, we've been carrying this around for a little while. The government, a little while ago, rejected a Tory suggestion that it should get the thickness of sliced bread reduced to help combat obesity. Now, the amount of times that I've tried to pick up a loaf that's thin sliced, without success, because they just don't exist anymore. Thick sliced, I mean, it's getting on for about an inch wide. Well, that's in old money, but it's like... They're over a centimetre thick, aren't they? Thick sliced bread now. And almost all the shelves are thick sliced.
It's because everyone takes the thin slices first.
No, they don't exist. I can't remember the last time I saw thin sliced bread.
You have to move some bread about and get to the back of the shelf.
The thin slices, like, wobble about.
No, but with thick slice, you have to add more filling so you can actually taste it. Otherwise you get overburdened with the bread.
Yeah, it's a doorstep.
Is it because people want, like, farmhouse style-y, where you would saw it, you know, like a fresh loaf, and it would be massive? It would be like
only if you saw it massive. I mean, I occasionally, in defeat, I buy bread that hasn't been sliced. I mean, I know as on the scale of conveniences, it's right up there with electric door windows. I mean, it's silly, really. I mean, how much effort does it take to slice a piece of bread? But you know, it's the bread that doesn't come sliced. You can't make sandwiches out of, because it tends to be that sort of healthy bread that falls apart when you put fillings in it, right? Mm-hmm. So you need that sort of rubbery sliced rubbery bread that they slice for you. I don't know what they put in it to make it rubbery, by which I don't mean lovely, I mean rubbery. But it sort of glues the inside together much more than proper bread, actual real bread that you have to slice. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, but that's what you want from a sandwich. You don't want one that falls apart.
No, quite. But you don't need 2 inches of bread on either side of your nanana sandwich, or whatever it is you've got in the middle of it. Nananas. Baroness Royal of Blaisdon for the government said that ministers would be accused of the nanny state if they tried to get the thickness of sliced bread reduced. Well, it hasn't stopped them doing anything else, has it? She was responding to Tory Baroness Gardner of Parks, who said at Lord's Question Time, you can hardly buy a thin or medium loaf. Correct. There should be more pressure on the Food Standards Authority to reduce us to normal-sized bread again instead of super sandwiches. And I thought that's absolutely right. You cannot buy sliced bread that is of a reasonable thickness. Am I right? Yes, Nick, you're really right. You're right about that as well as everything else.
Yeah,
I'm so glad you asked.
T-shirt.
It's 7:55.
Listen to him. He knows everything.
Forest Hill. Hey, Jill.
Oh, hello. Oh, I love you.
I love you.
I love you more. Thank you so much. You've I've had a cold. Well, I've still got the cold, really, and
Really? Please tell me more.
Stop whining. It's been on my chest, and I came in just now, and you were talking about the guy in the pie factory.
Yeah.
Finger in every pie, and I laughed so hard.
Finger in every pie, yeah.
I laughed so hard. God bless you, because I laughed so hard. It's cleared my... I swear to God, I don't think I'll cough again now. I was crying with laughter.
Oh, me and Benelux will clear...
Absolutely.
Clear your
You're
chest.
A tonic. You're an absolute tonic, and thank you so much. But it's not a true story.
Yeah, I was there when it happened.
God. And he literally just...
It's what turned me...
He just walked out and then came back for his finger.
Working in that place turned me vegetarian for 20 years. That's true.
Oh, my God, that is wonderful. That's a classic. Oh, I love that. Fabulous. Thank you so much.
I haven't eaten a pie since.
No.
In fact, mystery meat of any kind has not been a part of my dinner.
Well, I could take a different stance on that. I could say, well, from what I've heard, that would be the only bit of real meat in the pie.
Well, yeah, quite possibly, yeah.
But no, thank you so much for that. It's the best laugh. It was a really, really good laugh.
Well, you've got to have a laugh, ain't you, Jill? Thanks a lot, Jill.
Thanks.
Cheers, ta-ra. 0845 6060 973. Waterford, in Ireland. Hello, Andy.
Yeah, if you can't laugh, what can you do, mate?
I know.
Just a couple of quick things. First of all, I used to work in a bakery years ago, and when we used to make bread, which was just a lot for manually slicing,
yeah,
we used to put 4 gallons of water in with the mix, with 70 pounds of flour and all the rest of the stuff. But if it was going off to the slicing machine, you had to put 8 gallons of water in.
Right.
So I think that's all it is. It's just made more stodgy, so the slicing machine can slice.
Yeah, it also seems to have more air in it, the bread that's been sliced. It's more squashy, right?
Yeah, well, you see, they get more smaller bubbles. That's why, that's if you put more water in. I'm actually embarrassed that I know about baking, but there you go.
Well, no, it's a cornerstone to any nutritious breakfast.
Indeed. Here's something else. I know you got news coming up, but here's something else which might alarm you. I live in Ireland, right, and it does strike me that sometimes Britain looks upon Ireland and looks at what Ireland does and says, oh, let's see how they get on with that. Like, for example, the smoking ban.
Yeah.
Do you know what they're doing here?
It's not the plastic bag ban, is it?
Oh, no, it's worse, mate.
Go on.
From January next year, they are banning incandescent light bulbs.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes.
Well, I know that that they're going to do that here, but not for a good long while. From January next year, they're banning incandescent light bulbs.
I've never heard so much nonsense about it in all my life. They're saying, for example, that you have to ban them because they're energy inefficient, because only 30% of the energy that goes into a light bulb comes out as light.
Yeah.
Now, that may be true, but the other 70% comes out as heat, and it heats your house.
Yes, that's true, yeah.
If I didn't have a load of light bulbs in my house, I'd have to turn the heating up.
I hadn't thought about that.
Oh,
I'm going to pen a letter to Gordon straight away.
Yeah, well,
apart from anything else, those efficient light bulbs look horrible. It makes you look like you're in prison. Andy, I've got to go, but thanks a lot, mate. Thanks for the bad news.
Mama, please.
So, Extras is back with a twist, said the nice man on the news. Yeah, this time it will be funny.
Oh, right, yeah.
I liked Extras.
But it's not funny, though.
I think it was. It made me laugh out loud more than The Office did.
You're kidding?
Yeah. Well, no.
No. You've got to be having a laugh, intro. Really?
Yeah.
There was one really funny episode where they actually filmed here as well.
They filmed here?
Yeah, in that studio, actually.
Nick Ferrari was in it.
Yeah.
What, sat sitting here?
Yep.
Yeah.
Which episode was that?
It's the one where Ricky, or whatever his character, Andy Millman, he makes some rude comments about someone and it got all blown out of proportion. And it was just a commentary on how the media...
Well, who was the major star in it?
I don't know.
Oh, you were really watching carefully, were you?
Well, it's a long time ago.
Didn't they all have big stars in each episode?
I can't remember who was them in that one.
I saw a few. I saw the one with David Bowie. I saw the one with Harry Potter, whatever his name is.
Daniel Radcliffe.
Yeah, neither of which were in any way amusing, apart from the song that David Bowie sung.
Little Fat Man.
Yeah, but then I would, if David Bowie sung the Telephone Book, I would cross the road to hear that.
Mm-hmm. There was one with Ronnie Corbett in it, which was good. The BAFTAs one. That was...
What was the last one like? Because I saw 1-star reviews and 4-star reviews out of 5.
It was more serious, but still had humour in it.
Right.
But I think it was kind of like the last episode of The Office where he was trying to put a message across.
The last episode of The Office wasn't. I didn't think it was a message at all. It was just the. I thought actually the last episode of The Office was one of the best last episodes of any program I'd ever seen. It wrapped everything up perfectly well and had a tear in my eye because they got together again finally. Oh,
you're like
shut
a happy
ending. Hey, what happened to the weather? It was going to be minus 17 Celsius. And
it's supposed to snow today. I'm quite disappointed.
That's right, and we were going to have Siberian conditions out there, and nothing. It was just a little bit chilly, a little bit damp, not too much, and by this weekend it'll be back to warm and wet again. One day does not a winter make. And there was forecasts of doom and gloom, wasn't there, just last week? Experts were lining up, they were, to tell us how awful it was going to be.
Like that massive storm we were supposed to get a couple of weekends ago, and it was just a bit windy.
Yeah.
Disappointing.
Yes. I think it's weather forecasting now is an exercise in headline grabbing. Who can shout the loudest about how awful it's going to be gets the biggest coverage, and therefore gets the biggest budget to continue their research. Or I think it's in much the same. It's gone much the same way as medical research. Whoever can come up with the most shocking findings, by hook or by crook, will get the most money to continue their research. Oranges are going to kill you, even if you just look at them. That sort of thing. Yeah, I had an organic orange today. Because I always buy oranges that are big and perfectly formed and come in bags with, buy 3 and you get 2 extra, that sort of thing. And they look like an artist's depiction of an orange in cartoon form, perfect in every way. Mm-hmm. And then they buy them with this sad bag of oranges which were about 3/4 of the size and were wrinkled and had blotchy skin and didn't look very appetising at all. It's as though I've tasted an orange for the first time in my life. The flavour almost made my head explode. It was incredible. And I'm not exaggerating in any way.
Yeah.
No, it was amazing what the difference in taste to a little unlovely looking organic orange compared to the ordinary ones that I buy. It's just like chalk and cheese.
I don't really eat oranges. But I like orange flavoured sweets, which is quite odd.
My girlfriend won't drink like full strength orange juice.
What do you mean?
You can tone it down.
Orange
juice. If I buy orange juice like freshly squeezed,
with bits in it,
and she won't have a full glass of that. It has to be
watered
diluted.
down.
Yeah, because it'll give her
with
cancer,
vodka
apparently.
It will give her cancer.
Yeah.
Orange juice. That's a new one on me. I heard that.
What are you saying?
I heard that fruit juice will make your teeth fall out because it's just it's a concentrated sugar. Basically, don't drink fruit juices. Eat the fruit that's been squashed to make them, because all of that extra stuff, the fibre that comes with it, there's got to be something in there that we need more than just the juice itself. In much the same way, to extrapolate wildly, don't rely on vitamin pills to give you the vitamins that are supposedly in those pills. It might chemically look as though you're getting everything that you need, but there must be other things that we haven't discovered, just as I'm sure that there are other senses that we haven't discovered, and other... there's stuff out there that we don't know of. I'm sure that there's things in apples and oranges and bananas and broccoli and so on that we haven't discovered yet, that I'm sure do much more than just eating a pill that's got vitamin C and D1 and all that stuff. But that just seems like common sense to me. But as Paul Ross says, common sense is a misnomer, because there's a precious little common about it. 0845 6060 973. I think our callers are have been afflicted in much the same way as London's workers.
They all got that stomach bug, maybe, that...
Well, they're all doing... they're all doing the right thing, and they're staying at home.
For 2 days.
Yeah, where is that story?
Apparently.
It's been termed the vomiting bug. That's not very nice, is it?
No.
Is that what Victoria had? Visa.
She just had a cold, I think.
Oh, right. Doctors' leaders warned people struck down by a violent stomach bug sweeping the country not to return to work, as GPs reported yesterday that they were being inundated by sufferers. Well, I'm sure that doesn't help, but I'm sure that's not the reason that most of the people in London haven't returned to work. They just can't be bothered. Why go to work for just a few days after Christmas when you can postpone the misery till next Monday, right?
Mm-hmm.
More than 100,000 people a week are catching norovirus, which causes sudden vomiting and diarrhea. Neither of which you want to be sudden. You want,
you want some...
Yeah, you want
warning.
Advanced warning on both of those things, yeah. And the numbers contracting the disease will peak this month. Now, you see, this is exactly what I was talking about public transport, by the way. That things like this are promoted by people being crushed together on public transport. Even at work, you're not crushed together as you are on the tube and the buses. You don't sit that... I mean, I'm sitting how far from you? Like 15
feet.
Exactly what I was going to say. 15 feet, yes. And I can't catch anything from you. I mean, apart from anything else, you're in a different room. which is exactly where...
and double glass.
Which is exactly where I want you to be.
Mm-hmm. Much safer. Yeah.
Thousands of workers and children who fell ill over the holiday period are due to return to jobs and classrooms in the coming days. Many have already called in sick, and doctors warn them not to go back until they're fully recovered. Such is the risk of spreading the disease. Patients affected, here's the instruction, patients affected should stay at home for 48 hours after they last suffered the symptoms, the NHS advised. That's almost a licence to stay at home and bunk off. 2 days after you last feel unwell, you should continue to stay at home. The absences will cost the economy millions of pounds, they say. And they always say stuff like that. If people take sick days, it's going to cost the economy millions of pounds. And if we have an extra bank holiday, it's going to cost the economy billions of pounds. And that's absolute nonsense. People's work won't go undone for the rest of their lives. Just because they didn't show up on a Tuesday doesn't mean to say that the work that they would have done on a Tuesday will never get done. If it's that important, people will just do it for them in their absence. Or they'll catch up when they get back. It's not going to actually cost anybody any money at all. How do they come up with this stuff? That's a direct question to you, Alex.
Well, it will for businesses that rely on, like you said, like city stuff, where it's people moving money around.
Well, then if it's that important, somebody else will move it around for them.
Not if they're all off puking.
So far this winter, about 2 million people have fallen ill with this norovirus. 2 million! That's the highest number for 5 years. And as I've mentioned before, it's medical professionals keep warning us about this. There is a giant cull of the human race on the way. We're way overdue, and we're packed far too close together to miss it, to avoid it indefinitely. Like the black plague, or and now there are unhappy looks on the faces of the the kids in front of me.
Nice to know what's going to happen in 2008.
Happy New Year.
That's right. Mass death and destruction. That's what we have to look forward to. Happy New Year. I sound like the Daily Mail, don't I? Doctors warn people with the condition to stay away from GP surgeries and hospitals, to phone for advice and avoid further spread.
Because they're all bunking off too.
Well, I was talking to somebody, a mate of mine is a doctor in the NHS, and the NHS is supposedly preparing for this next giant cull of the human race, which they predict will be bird flu. Millions of people will die, and you'll be spreading it by going into work, being on public transport, just being around other people. And the government's... I'll get back to the vomiting bug in a minute. I bet you can't wait, eh? So I'll just tell you this bad news now. The government's preparations for the bird flu pandemic, which they say is inevitable and coming our way. Look for it at a mouth near you soon. is based on the NHS being staffed to full levels. However, if people are dropping down dead all the time just because they step outside and start interacting with other people, do you think that as a doctor or a nurse you would happily skip to work to be treating a never-ending queue of people who have got this virus that can be passed on easily and will lay you out for a long time, if not kill you? They just won't show up for work. Doctors and nurses won't be present in hospitals.
Well,
they could wear the masks.
Yeah, and they're given those biohazard spacesuits, maybe.
The personal touch of the NHS.
You can't treat someone in a biohazard spacesuit. But that's the big flaw in their preparations, and I don't think anybody wants to address that problem. Is that come the disaster that they're predicting will befall us? People who are running the NHS won't show up for work. Still, let's be happy, eh? It's 8:15. Will Gowing has LBC's travel.
Thanks very much. Just heard news of Nick Abbott.
So they opened their big mouths and out came talk. Talk, talk.
Isn't that right, Trixie?
It is, absolutely. And I think you should have a new slogan. I think it should be, wash your hands.
Yeah.
Instead of be polite, because that's another way people are going to spread these viruses. That's why I would carry a little sort of hand wash in my bag.
Do you?
It's a small bottle with it's a sort of a gel. It's the kind of gel you have in the hospitals.
Like an alcohol-based gel?
Yes, that's right. And you carry it in my hands, very, very little. You don't need very much. You rub it over your hands, and it sort of helps to wash them if you're out.
Yeah, and you can really get off your face on it later.
Booze. Absolutely. But if you're in supermarkets, you see these kids with the biting the trolley handles. Oh, God!
Yeah.
Oh, it's horrible. Ooh.
I know. I don't like touching those. But
I
then
tell you what, you and me, the only people that are going to be standing at the end of this, are going to be keeping ourselves absolutely away from these things.
Or we'll die anyway and be very upset about it. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good point.
I'm getting like Howard Hughes. I don't want to touch anything anymore.
No, I feel the same way. Oh dear. I do feel the same way. It's horrible. I had the winter vomiting bug last year.
Oh, nice.
Now, I've got a horrible, tiny little flat. And, I'm sharing it with a cat. And I'm doing my best to keep everything absolutely clean. But it happened to be the time when my toilet decided to flood.
Oh.
Yes. And, well, I was ill for, I think it was a month.
A month?
Yes, it came over me in waves. But I was really, really ill for about 3 or 4 days. And then I picked up slightly. And then, whoomph, I was ill again for another week or so. It was awful. So these noroviruses are awful, and there are lots of them. They're tiny little things.
What is a norovirus?
I don't know. They're the ones that cause vomiting. They live on cat's fur, for example. Well, no, you've got pets. They're all over the place.
I don't actually have a pet.
You don't have a pet. That's all right then. You're fine, Nick. You're well in there.
I thought that's what you just said, though. You said, I have a pet. I don't have a
No,
pet.
I have a cat.
Oh, you have a pet,
I have
right.
a cat.
Mhm.
Sorry, misunderstanding. I have a cat, and when you any animal, you stroke their fur. If they've been outside and had a little look in the garden, then they pick
Nipped
up
outside for a quick peek. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. They could pick them up from squirrels. Hey, we might be getting squirrel virus next.
Well, if all the grey squirrels get a virus and they drop down dead, that would be all right by me.
I know, but I
that
had
an awful
two
thing
of
to
them
say?
playing outside my kitchen. I saw two of them today. And if they get into the flat and they pass squirrel virus on to me,
They won't get into the flat.
They did. I think
Squirrels got into your flat.
Well, I saw something last year. I thought it was a rat, but I think now it might have been a squirrel.
In your flat?
Yeah.
I would have thought that the smell of humans puts squirrels off, in much the same way that it puts birds off. Birds will come near, but they won't actually come into your flat. Although I did see a bird in my flat the other day.
There you are.
Bizarre. All the windows were closed, all the doors were closed, and I got up and had my breakfast, and I sat down watching the TV, started shouting at BBC News, as usual. That dope in the morning was giggling about something, laughing and joking, and... Oh, why doesn't he just go and take a leap at himself? And then, I sort of heard a sound downstairs, and it was a bird, an actual real-life bird.
Was it all right?
Huh?
Was it all right?
Well, it was all right in the sense that it didn't do its business all over the place before flying out.
It probably wandered in when you opened the balcony door.
But no, I didn't think that birds did that.
Yes, they do. Of course they do.
No, I thought that birds were fearful of the human smell, because our flats must stink of us.
But if that bird, for example, was stunned, perhaps it had been nearly attacked by a cat.
Stunned.
You never know. Think about it, or had a scare,
Yeah.
and it was stunned, and it came onto your
I was
balcony,
stunned.
and it just sort of wandered in completely unaware. This can happen.
Whistling a happy tune.
Yeah. I mean, you get sort of.
You know how to whistle, don't you?
You just put your lips together
And blow. Yeah.
By the way, can I just go back to these bird flu jabs?
Yes.
The NHS people are going to get the jabs. They're the ones that are going to have the vaccinations. So we're going to have a lot of healthy nurses and a lot of healthy bureaucrats.
But I didn't think that those jabs were actually would do the job.
Well, exactly. I don't know how they could possibly have a virus, because we don't even know if it can really transmute. What is the word? You've got
Go between species.
Pneumonic and bubonic. What is it? No. When it can spread to one human, that's one kind. But
Yeah.
when it can spread from human to human, that's a different kind.
Right.
And I think that's a different kind of. You need a different kind of vaccine.
Yeah, but I don't think a vaccine is going to protect us from bird flu. He told me this as well. That we're all pinning our hopes on this vaccine that the government are stockpiling in large amounts. But I don't think it's, well, not that I know anything, but he implied that it wasn't actually going to make any difference.
You probably got it cheaply from Bush anyway. Sort of, hey, well, why don't you have the virus? And hey, well, if all the Brits get killed off by bird flu, then we can take over the country,
You're doing an accent, Trixie.
I'm sorry, yes, you're absolutely right, and that was an appalling American accent.
Really
I
bad.
was not doing it properly, and
Yeah.
I do confess it was appalling.
You must be still ill. In fact, you sound like you're stunned.
I probably am, yes. It's taken all this time, this norovirus.
You got the vomiting and the diarrhea bug when your toilet was blocked up.
That was over a year ago. But that was a year ago.
I don't think you have to paint us a picture of that scene.
Oh, well, no,
We've got a vivid image of it in our minds.
It wasn't very nice.
No, I can imagine. Yeah, that's the picture that I'm getting.
No, it was pretty unpleasant.
Yeah, in fact, I'm getting the image of that scene in Trainspotting,
Yes.
where he goes into the toilet.
Oh, yeah, that was so good.
Right.
I loved that movie. Oh, dear, right. But get back to these bugs. There must be somebody out there who knows about vaccines. It'd be really nice to hear about that.
Right, well, we'll find out, eh?
Yeah, I think so.
all
Anyway,
right.
if I hear of any noroviruses in your area,
Yeah.
I will give you a call.
Good,
I can't remember your number. It's
08
That's right.
45
Uh-huh.
6060
Yeah.
973.
Excellent.
Thanks, Trixie.
Bye.
Cheers, my dear. Ta-ra. Still very quiet on the phones. I mean, I know that you're not at work, but this ain't work, is it?
I had a bird fly in the house once, which was nice.
I had a squirrel in my kitchen once.
A squirrel?
Yeah, it was summertime. The door was open. It ran in and ran under the cooker.
What, summertime when the living is easy?
Yeah.
It ran in the cooker?
No, ran underneath the cooker.
Right.
And it was obviously stressed or distressed. And it was just flapping about, fluttering and just running.
What, it's flapping its wings?
Well, its tail. It just lodged itself under the cooker and we couldn't get it out.
I'm amazed by that, because I thought that the smell of human living warned animals not to come anywhere near. I thought that we were, apart from flies, of course, they love us. I didn't think that mammals actually, I thought they gave us a wide berth.
Yeah, but they like the smell of food, don't they? Which
smells like victory. Yeah.
So that's why they always end up in the kitchen, I think.
But I didn't think squirrels ate human food. I thought they were into nuts.
They're into fast food now.
Right. Okay.
Urban squirrels.
Yeah,
and stuff.
fat squirrels. Yeah, who will stab you if you don't hand over your burger. Yeah. Okay, back to the vomiting bug, and then I'll get off this repellent topic. The bug usually lasts 2 days. Oh, that's all right. See, it must have been something else that Trixie had. This one lasts for 2 days and can sweep through schools, offices, hospitals and prisons. It struck passengers on the Queen Victoria cruise ship. That's the one that was, what's the word? Doomed because, what's-her-name didn't smash the bottle correctly, right?
Doomed! Is that what happened? The champagne didn't break?
Yeah, you know, Charlie's other half. What's her name? How quickly we forget.
Camilla.
What is her name? Camilla, yeah, that's right. Camilla didn't smash the bottle, and that dooms the ship to...
life of failure.
Yeah, a life of failure, right.
I don't know how that possibly can't break, though.
No, yeah, that's... well...
glass against steel.
Because of champagne's explosive nature, they must pack it in bottles that are quite sturdy.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
you wouldn't think that the distance it travels through the air and the speed at which it hits metal, you'd think that it would break every time. So there must be something seriously wrong going on there.
Girly...
The Queen wouldn't have done that.
She'd have lobbed it.
Yeah. The NHS reported that vomiting and diarrhoea was one of the top 5 complaints that patients had called about in the past 2 months. And that would be awful if it happened at the same time, wouldn't it? Vomiting and diarrhoea at the same time. Which would you address first?
What do you prioritise?
People are at home with it over the holiday, which is the best place for them, says a leading doctor, Dr. Steve, in fact. Then next week, he's very good. Then next week, schools go back, and you can get a child outbreak. And then the children go home and they give it to their parents. He said the best thing to do is stay at home, take paracetamol, drink plenty of fluids, and call the GP for advice. Don't call the GP for advice. That's all the advice you need right there.
Unless we just quarantine ourselves.
Yeah, unless you're actually seriously ill, in which case don't listen to a word I'm saying. We must, I think, as a human race, kill the incubators. Is that going too far?
It's a little extreme.
Is it? Oh, okay, then I'll back off. What time is it? 29, 45, 27. Have we got time for one call, do you think? Or is it two? Should we just chit-chat amongst ourselves?
Yeah. Some
light bulbs.
Some polite chitty-chat.
Energy-saving light bulbs can cause migraines, says health experts. Charities have been inundated with complaints about the fluorescent bulbs, which are due to become compulsory in homes in the next 4 years. Well, that was interesting that they're starting in Ireland in January.
I've already started stocking up on my old school ones. Yeah, I've got a drawer half full.
I think there's going to be a black market in them. I think that people will, although they don't lend themselves well to transporting by post, I think that people will be ordering them from other countries because no other countries in the world aren't going to be doing this either as well. China won't be doing it. India won't be doing it. So they're going to be made somewhere.
Mm-hmm. You can get on eBay.
They're going to have to come up with something better than the things that they're selling at the moment, because those things they're selling at the moment are rubbish. There's no way around it. The light that comes off them is terrible. It makes the place look like an office, because that's essentially what they are. They're those long office strip lights made small. That's what those little bulbs are. And so that's why they look terrible. Who wants to live in a place that's lit like an office? No one.
Workaholics.
Yeah. But they're not good for reading because they don't provide a proper light. These little, what are these called? These things in the ceiling here?
Lights.
Spotlights?
No, they're little, what are they called?
Halogen lights.
Halogen lights is the right answer, yeah. Halogen lights are good, and I believe that they're close to doing good things with LED lights. Not LSD, LED. Totally different thing. So maybe it's not all bad, but yeah, stockpile them now.
Everything is going extremely well.
I'll say. Hi, Bree. Hi, Chris.
Hello.
Chris.
Right. The bread.
Bread, yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about the bread. I was thinking about what you were talking about, and the point that I probably would understand is that if they're making the slices thicker and you can't buy thin sliced bread, would it not mean that we have to buy more loaves then, if that's the case, by them cutting the slices thicker?
Ah, that's right. Yeah, that's so obvious I hadn't even thought about it.
You know, if they're cutting, obviously, the bread thicker, that means we're getting less slices in the loaf. That means we're using the loaf quicker.
Right.
That means we have to sort of top up on more loaves. So you'd end up buying 3 or 4 loaves, probably putting 3 in the freezer, and using the existing one, and then thawing the other one out when you're halfway through the other one.
That's obviously why they're doing it. Those evil, nasty bakers,
Yeah. I mean, over the years, they've done that with crisps and sort of other things like they've made the bags bigger, but made the quantity smaller inside.
So it looks like you're getting more.
Yeah.
Huh. Oh, well, hey, what's that? What's that?
Oh, no one. That's just my partner.
Your partner?
Yeah.
Your partner rings like a bell?
No, that's the old ringtone that I used. But that's what I would have thought with the bread, that obviously they're getting you to buy more loaves by cutting the bread thicker.
Right. Well spotted, Chris. Thanks a lot, mate.
Okay.
Yeah. So the answer is to buy a bread that has not previously been sliced. Or go to a baker. Some will slice bread for you. They'll take a loaf that hasn't been sliced from your sticky hands and stick it in their machine.
Yeah, I love that, when they put it in the machine.
The machine that goes brrrr.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And then wrap it back up again.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh. Special treat.
Yeah, they do it in French bakeries.
Mm.
What's that?
Oh, that's my pen.
All these noises off.
Off?
Yeah.
Is that what you say to anyone who's making a objectionable noise? Noise is off.
What?
like it's a...
No, that's not an instruction, that's a description.
Oh,
their
right,
noise is
okay.
off, as in off stage.
Oh, okay. Oh, is that a lovely term?
Well, I think it is, yeah. In fact, there's a play called Noises Off.
Yeah?
I think it's playing in the West End now. Oh, I bet it's fantastic.
Boring!
Like everything else that's on in the West. Oh, no, don't criticise the West End. Got into great trouble when I did that last.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I think it was the team.
Oh, lovely. That's what I've been waiting for. Full fat, I hope. Nice bit of sugar. Thank you very much. 0845 6060 973. I do get the feeling that the callers have taken the week off, in much the same way that London's workers have taken the week off, an extended Christmas holiday. It makes perfect sense. Because the bank holidays were Monday and Tuesday, right? Who in their right mind would want to come back for Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, when you only have to take 3 days off to get a whole week off?
They can take the rest of the year off, if they like, because their drive-in has just been blissful for the last 2 days.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And tomorrow, I am actually getting in my car and going into the congestion zone. The £8 will be worth it just to be able to sweep around. I'm going to be driving on the wrong side of the road, in fact.
Because there's nobody there,
Yeah.
so it won't matter.
Exactly.
Yeah, when I drove down home last night, down the embankment, it was completely empty.
It's like a computer game.
It was brilliant.
Yeah, you know, I said milk and 1 sugar.
Yeah.
You've shown the milk to the tea. It's virtually black, and there's no sugar in it at all. You fail in this simple task. You're rubbish at this.
So I can get you some more milk and sugar.
Yes, please. He's going to spit in my tea now.
There'll be a finger in there when it comes back.
Well, as long as that's the digit he uses. Thank you.
Right.
Awful, awful tea. Please do better next time.
Must try harder.
Yeah. Victoria makes lovely tea. If only she were here.
Yeah, but she sneezes in it.
Hey, Mandy.
Hi.
I bet you make nice tea.
I don't, because I don't drink it.
Oh, right. I bet you could follow instructions to make nice
Yes.
tea. Yeah, see.
I make nice black coffee
Black coffee.
with sugar.
Well, anyone can do that.
Yeah, I don't drink milk.
You don't drink milk?
No.
You don't drink milk?
No.
What kind of a lunatic doesn't drink milk?
I've been thinking
Yeah,
that this vomiting thing.
yes.
No,
Let's go back to the vomiting, yeah.
Yes, God forbid. With the cold weather, wouldn't that kill off all the germs?
Not in you, stupid.
No, in the air.
Oh, right.
Because I know cold weather kills off flu germs and things and
Does
colds.
it? No, how can it do that?
It does, because it
Thank
does.
you. My tea's been... now, don't go away. Let me test it. Test it before you leave.
Oh my God, slurp.
It'll do. The look of expectation on his face. Oh,
Great slurp.
it's all right. Don't worry about me. I'll suffer. Anyway, back to you, Mandy.
Do you always slurp like that?
No, I just, well, you know, if I'd
Sound effect.
if I'd done it politely, then no one would have heard me do it.
Be polite!
Yeah, sound effects were good.
Well, there's a good reason for slurping. It aerates the tea and makes it cooler than it ordinarily would be. I'll burn my little lips.
Oh, poor you.
Yeah.
Well, I...
Not remotely interested, are you?
Ooh. Me?
Yeah.
What I thought, I probably won't do it tomorrow, but on Monday when I go out to the supermarket, food shopping, I'm going to put my scarf on right round my nose and mouth.
Yeah.
So I can't get any germs.
Well, you know what? I think that, and I might have either said this the other day, or perhaps I was just thinking it, but I think it will shortly be a common sight for people on public transport to have masks on in much
Good
the same,
idea.
yeah, in much the same way as cyclists used to cycle around with those neoprene masks on, which made their face come out in welts, which is why you.
Neoprene mask?
Well, you know, it's like it's a cross between rubber and it's what divers wear suits made of. It's like rubber and plastic. I don't really know what it is, but you know, it's like that.
Yeah.
I think it will be a common sight in much the same way as it's in Tokyo. You see pictures of people walking around a street that's thick with smog.
Yeah.
With those face masks on, and those little paper masks, they don't do anything. But
They wear out after about a minute, don't they? They're
Yeah.
used.
But I would imagine that it would prevent the molecules from someone's sneeze getting up your nose.
Well, I've got a long cashmere scarf, and it's going to go right round my nose and mouth.
Oh, get you with your fancy cashmere
Yeah,
scarf.
someone bought it for me years ago.
Right.
And I haven't worn it till today because it was so bloody cold.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put that round my nose and mouth. I don't want to get this thing.
Unfortunately, when you do put a scarf around your nose and your mouth, in much the same way as wearing a balaclava, it gets wet because the moisture coming from your breath just wets it up. So you're sitting there with a wet face.
Well, I'm only going to walk around the supermarket and then I'm going to go back to my car.
You'll look like you're staging a raid.
No, I won't.
You will.
No.
Look like Roy Rogers has just walked in.
No. Especially yesterday when I went out in it, because it was cold.
Yeah, bloomin' freezing out there.
It was unbelievable, wasn't it?
Well, people in
the wind chill factor was terrible.
Oh, come off it! It was mild out there.
No.
Hardly Siberia, was it?
Oh, it made my ears hurt.
Well, yeah, I hate that.
And all down my neck. It was horrible.
Poor baby.
Stop whining!
What? What did you say?
I said poor baby. I was trying to do my best to comfort you.
Oh.
I feel your pain.
Wait, does that ever happen to you?
What?
Do your ears hurt and your neck?
Every extremity beyond my heart is freezing, blooming cold from September to June.
Uh-huh.
And it's all my dad's fault.
Why?
Because his are freezing cold as well. So I've caught whatever he has. Raynaud's disease or whatever it is.
Is that what it is? Oh, yes, you're right. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Well, you've got to look after yourself.
I know. I had to go out and get some fluffy slippers.
Did you go?
No, I didn't. I'll go tomorrow. I have to go to a shop that sells gentlemen's requisites, because nobody sells slippers anymore. Ordinary
Google it?
sensibles. No. I don't want to buy clothes over the web.
No, but that might tell you where you can get them.
No, I want to put them. I want to put them on my sweaty feet before I buy them.
Well, if you Google it might tell you where they sell them.
Other search engines are available.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to go down the top gentleman's outfitters street, because while they sell suits for £3,000,
Savile Row.
yeah, they also have in the back a dusty collection of knickknacks for the modern man.
Street that you could go to is Jermyn Street.
Jermyn Street, yeah, that's right.
They've got gentlemen's shops there.
Yeah, you want to go to a shop that sells clothes for old geezers, because young whippersnappers such as myself, or this is the way I like to think of myself, we don't buy slippers because we're too busy out gallivanting. Huh?
I'd be lost without my slippers.
Yeah, me too. Well, I've got 2 pairs and they've got holes in them.
Oh,
There's a hole in my slipper, dear Mandy, dear Mandy.
Pardon?
Why do you keep saying pardon? I'm going to send you some. I'm going to send you some Q-tips in the post. You must have waxy build-up.
No, you're talking over me, so we're both talking. That's
Right. Well, shut up then.
Okay.
How are you?
Well, I was very cold today, but
Right.
it's warming up a bit now.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that giant chill that we were expecting, that was going to be, as cold as Moscow, never appeared. Just a little light nip in the air, and that's it.
We had snow in London Colney, but it didn't settle.
Really?
Yeah, just like little tiny snowflakes.
Oh.
But it didn't settle
No.
at all.
Well, I don't think it's going to.
Freezing.
I mean, if this was the full extent of winter, then yet again it has failed us.
No, because it was really cold before Christmas, wasn't it?
Not really.
Don't you remember? Every day was like 3 degrees again.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I don't remember that at all.
You haven't got a good memory, have you?
No, I remember nothing. At all.
No.
By which I
Who are you
mean
talking
at
to?
all. Oh, well, I have to look at the screen every now and again to see your name. Hey, Mandy.
I hate it. Concentrate.
Yeah, I think that boat has sailed. I'm unable to concentrate. All you have to do is listen to this show. I don't do linear thought. I skate off in many and various different directions, as Raj will tell you, because he's been writing down all the topics I've been talking about so far. What are we up to now? Must be about 50.
Down. Vomit, vomit, vomit.
Don't tell us yet. We'll have a summary at the end of the show. You have written down a list, haven't you?
Yeah.
Is that a no?
Oh,
Hey, Mandy.
Well, I hope you stay well.
Thanks a lot, my dear.
And keep warm.
Yeah, my advice to you, don't breathe in.
No, I'm at home, I'm safe.
All right, cheers. Ta-ra.
Bye, darling.
8:45. Will Gowing has LBC's travel.
Just had some news. Nick Abbott.
Would you mind telling me what this is all about?
Thurrock. Hey, Greg.
Hey, Nick.
Greg.
Nick.
Greg.
New balls, please. How are you?
I'm all right.
I was listening to that discussion about the bird flu,
Yeah.
and I'm speaking from a position of total ignorance, really, on this, apart from what I've read.
Me too, on this subject and everything else I talk about.
Yeah. But as I understand it, the bird flu hasn't actually gone away. There are still birds dropping down dead.
And people, apparently. There was some people in, I can't remember which country it is, so I'll just pick one from space. Turkey.
Mm-hmm. Right. And but once the bird dies, then that's it. Then the viruses die because they haven't got a host to live on.
Right.
And if you're an ordinary fit human being and you contract the bird flu, you're fine. It's a bit like if you got a dog with distemper or a cat with cat flu and so on. It doesn't go across the species. Yeah.
Well, so far, but that's the big worry, isn't it? That it's going to do just that.
Well, it's inevitably going to, because what happens is that if you've got a healthy human and he's in a room with bird flu, no problems. But if you've got human flu, then the viruses that come in, if you're healthy, the viruses that come into your body are wandering around and they don't know the structure of the human body, they don't know how it works, they haven't got the information for it.
Wandering around?
Yeah, they're just, they're into the lungs, and ventricles and the heart and the things. Hey, what's all this? But, this is an alien territory as far as we're concerned.
Right. Like tourists?
Yeah, and they're there with their cameras and their Hawaiian shirts, but they're not going to last very long. But if they go into a human that's got one of their cousins there, the human virus,
right? Then they'll have hot, passionate, with their cousins.
They'll exchange
which is really unpleasant thought.
Yeah, they exchange information because their only purpose is just to adapt and survive and to carry on.
Yeah.
And then they'll think, oh, well, there's a few tricks for your bird flu viruses, from the human. What you need to do is to lock onto the lung membranes and then to go down here and create plenty of phlegm and all this.
Yeah, and the lung membranes are connected to the
liver.
No, but nice try.
But that's how they adapt. And once they've done that, and the person doesn't die immediately, they then pass it on to another human. Then the chain starts.
Right.
Now, what worries me is that the government is announcing that it's got these stocks of antibiotics. Now, they may well be right. The scientists and the boffins and what have you may have all the answers, and that's great.
Is somebody nicking a car in the background, by the way, because there's a car alarm going on, isn't there?
Yeah, it goes off with monotonous regularity.
Right,
absolutely.
one of those.
One that no one pays any attention
I
to
hate
whatsoever. They could be breaking in as we speak, but no one really bothers.
It's probably just the wind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, they may have developed something that they can predict how these viruses will adapt because of the people that have already died.
Right.
But the problem that I see is that viruses don't adapt in a linear method. They if they find out that they've been trumped before,
yes,
then they'll think, oh, well, we've got another ace up our sleeve or whatever. So
yeah, they're wily little things.
They wily little critters, and it's an inevitable thing. And if there's a virologist listening that isn't in the pay of the government or one of the big pharmaceuticals,
like a freelance virologist.
Yeah, just hangs around and that's his thing. If he or she can elucidate on that.
Yes, that'd be a good idea.
I might be able to sleep tonight, but
somebody who actually knows what they're talking about on this show. That would be a change.
What? Well, what a thought. I wouldn't like it to change into one of those sort of things.
No, me either, no.
Smart Alex, we don't need those, do we? So, yeah, that's a brief resume of how I understand it works. And
the conclusion is that whatever virus killer they have stockpiled, what's the word for it? Antivirus? Antivirus?
Yeah.
Is it an antivirus? Isn't it something else?
Drugs.
Antivirus, yeah, all right. It isn't going to work because they don't know what they're up against.
Well, yeah, up to a point. I mean, it may stem it a little bit, but...
I mean, do flu jabs actually stop all flu? They don't, do they?
Well, they stop that strain of flu that it's there to... Because what it is, it contains flu viruses. It's a little bit like... it's like all these injections. They give you a little bit of the disease.
Right. A little bit of what you don't like makes you stronger.
And then that sends a message to our bodies, and our antiviral system kicks in and says, well, there's only a few of them, we can mash them.
Yeah.
And they remember how they did it. And the next time a big lot comes, then they're prepared.
And the wives of the viruses are holding their coats outside the back of the pub going, don't do it, it ain't worth it.
Well, that's the theory. I don't know whether it actually works that way. So, yeah, those antivirals will attack the viruses. The ones that have been developed will attack the viruses if they are of that form.
Right.
But if they're not, they will be absolutely no use whatsoever. And the boffins need to work, 24/7 when a new strain comes out, and it's just a matter of race against time.
Boffins, what, those nerds with pens in their top pockets?
Yeah, the bald ones with the glasses.
Right.
Yeah.
So, in short, then, we're doomed.
Well,
yes.
Yeah, because it's quite a virulent one, and if its whole method of survival is to clog up your tubes,
then you can't breathe more easily.
Then you can't, but it's one of those ones that once you're dead, it can't be passed on. I think that's.
Right. And once you're dead, there's that's the end of
your fault.
That's the end of your future, isn't it?
Yeah, but you can't be blamed. It was like that after you got there.
All right, well, thanks for...
I thought I'd cheer you up.
yeah, thanks for mapping that out for us.
Happy New Year.
And the same to you.
And thank you for the programme, because I laughed my head off when
Well, like I said, you've got to have a laugh, ain't you? Thanks, Greg.
Hello, mate.
It's 8:54. 45, 54, who cares? It's near enough for Jazz.
He is a very sick and dangerous man.
Yeah, I'm an incubator. Jethro. Oops, wrong fader. Sorry, Jethro.
Yeah, I didn't know that Trevor Brooking was moonlighting as a violist. How do you say that word?
Yes.
Well, didn't you think he sounded like Trevor Brooking?
I can't remember what he sounds like. I know it only happened a minute or so ago, but the memory's totally gone.
He sounded so much like Trevor Brooking with a human biology degree.
That sounds unlikely, doesn't it?
Oh, that's not very nice.
Well, it's true.
Just because he's a midfielder and he played for West Ham doesn't mean he's unintelligent.
No, just like a footballer.
He's been a caretaker manager for West Ham for a while, I think. Yes.
You all right?
No, I'm dying of infection. Don't worry. I'll just do it quietly. No.
Not quietly enough.
No. Last night, I tried. What's the point? I straddled one of your news items, and I tried to pick up on a point which I'd forgotten.
Oh, good.
And the point I'd forgotten was that the BBC is this massive accusation. Je accuse la BBC of doing yet again that deceptive thing because Jules Holland Hootmane.
Oh, that.
It was recorded.
But everybody knew that, though, didn't they?
Did they? I didn't.
I didn't see the programme because, frankly, I'm a bit bored of Jules Holland's Hoot and Nanny and Jules Holland's round robin programme.
Oh, I quite like it. Actually.
Well, I like the format, but the people that they have on it they don't really interest me anymore.
Well, it's more energetic than Whistling Bob Harris used to be. He used to be like a sort of...
Well, right enough, it is the only interesting music programme on TV, but it's the only music programme on TV, so it's not much of a stretch.
There's some sort of electronic video thing that comes on Channel 4 and on Saturday mornings for the kiddie winks.
No.
That shows animated Britney Spears in her early years.
Mercifully, there isn't much of Jules Holland. I mean, whenever there's an unaccompanied performer on, he does get back on his piano and starts doing his old boogie-woogie routine, which I've heard way too much of.
Oh, dear.
But every now and again, he sits down with someone at the old Joanna and has a chat with them. At which point, I think... Oh, no! Because he's the world's worst interviewer, bar none. After all this time, that guy cannot interview to save his life. Please, stop talking to people, mate.
I quite like that, because he's unpolished and direct and...
Well, you've got that right.
Yeah, and kind of, there's no pretension about him. He's just an East End boy made good, isn't he? Or is he a South London boy? I don't know.
I thought he came from... Isn't it Deptford? Deptford Fun City?
Yeah, where about... geographically, on the compass, where is that?
Well, it depends where you're standing, doesn't it?
Oh, dear. All right, yeah, okay. Okay,
if you're standing at the North Pole, it's south.
South, right. Okay, that's right. I think he's a good South London boy with lacking pretension and quite enthusiastic about things, and
yeah, his enthusiasm is fine. When he introduces bands, he's mercifully brief, but it's the interviewing part makes me switch off straight away because I know it's going to be embarrassing.
Okay. Listen,
what was the show like, by the way, the Hoot Nanny?
I didn't see all of it. I sort of turned off when Kylie Minogue came on with Paul McCartney, did the sweet sort of...
Truth. Kylie Minogue. Can we please, as a country, get over that woman? She can't sing, she can't act, she can't dance. What can she do?
Can't you get out of your... You can't get her out.
Can't get her out of my head, no.
Oh, dear. But the thing I really wanted to talk about was a really interesting programme called Dragon's Den.
Right.
Have you ever seen it?
I saw it once, enough to know that I think it's an outrage that we, the mug punters who pay for the BBC, are paying for already rich people to get more rich by taking advantage of the poor types who come on that show.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing about that show is, I mean, all credit to the guys who've made lots of money because they've got the entrepreneurial spirit, the Midas touch, all that
15 seconds.
But the interesting thing is to see the decline in British inventorial spirit. Is that the right word?
Entrepreneurial?
No.
Eventorial. Oh, you're going to have to leave us on that word. Oh, no.
On 97. Nick Abbott.
I enjoy working with people.
The London Bubble Theatre, eh? That would be a shame. Who are they? Hands up, anyone's ever heard of them? People say I? No one. I mean, really, when half of the stuff that's in the West End isn't worth the money, then, I mean, I don't know what they do, but you'd have to think that if all of these organisations are being paid for by us, who's going? We're paying, but we're not going. We're paying, but we've hardly even heard of them. 50 arts organisations in London are facing the chop. Well, so what? Why does a theatre, which is a going financial concern, have to get our money more than, say, a sandwich shop? Or am I being Philistinic? Philistinic.
You could say it provides training, kind of creative outlet and
well, is radio part of the arts? Yeah, well, the training in radio is you just do it for free. I didn't get a grant from the government to train how to do this.
Yeah, but it's a commercial organisation, isn't it? It's making money.
What's your point?
I don't know, actually. I just thought, as I was saying that, actually, so should the theatre be, really, making money selling tickets.
That's right.
For its performances.
Yes. I mean, if people want to go build it, and they will come, as long as it's good.
Yeah.
Mind you,
the
Mousetrap's been running for ever and a day, so maybe that equation doesn't hold up. Although, having never seen the Mousetrap, I don't know what I'm talking about on that subject or anything else, as I've said before.
It must be blooming good. It's still going.
That report about Colnbrook, the detention centre, that's worrying, isn't it? They said that it had a distressing atmosphere. Well, it's not a spa, it's a detention centre. What do you expect? Some people. Wallington, hello, Joan.
Hello, Nick.
Joan.
Well, I sort of agree with you about the theatre.
Yeah.
I felt that for a long time and then argued with myself. I thought, I must be a bit mean or something.
I would like to see that, you arguing with yourself. Did it end in violence?
Well, could sort of smash things a bit, couldn't I? Just to show how angry I was with myself.
I've often been furious with myself. I do often have arguments with myself while walking down the street.
Well,
out loud.
I try not to do it like that. Do it in the kitchen mostly, and I yell. I yell at the kitchen.
When you say something that you really weren't expecting? Yeah.
Well, I think it rather encourages theatre to be not very responsible if they're given a lot of funding. Instead of having perhaps the best, they think, we can do this and do that. Doesn't matter if the public come or not because we've got funding.
Right. I mean, artists aren't funded, like painters and sculptors and so on. They don't get government grants, do they? Why should the theatre be singled out?
No, and yet, on the other hand, I'm thinking to myself, you don't want them all to disappear, do you?
Well, no, but I mean, if somebody wants to learn their craft in much the same way as people learn how to be a DJ, playing... Oh, it's gone. I haven't faded it up. Rock and roll. You say it in your own heads. Then you do it for free until you're...
so you're very, very good.
Yeah, until you're bland enough to get a job. Yeah. Until you've worn all the edges off yourself. Yeah.
Anyway, I called in about health.
Elf?
Health. Yeah, because...
Not health and safety.
They're all talking about flu and cold. And for years and years and years now, I get almost no colds and no flu.
Right.
Once in a blue moon. Because the minute it starts, the minute I feel those first signs, I get my tissue salts, which are mineral salts.
Tissue salts?
Yeah, they're called tissue salts. Because
I've never heard of them.
They're the biochemic tissue salts made by New Era. And they have all these different combinations. And they go in the alphabet, A to goodness knows what. And they actually put back into the cells, into the tissue, what you need. Iron, calcium.
Tissue? What, as in a tissue sneezing?
No, not a tissue sneezing.
Well, I don't know what you mean.
You've got tissue cells.
Right.
cells of the body, the tissues
Oh,
of your body.
okay, right.
And so they don't go through the digestive system. They're in 6x potency, which means they dissolve straight into the cells of the body, into the tissue. And so you get instant response. And you take a lot of these, and they dissolve on the tongue. You don't have to mix them with anything or take them before meals or after meals or any of that stuff. You just take them, dissolve on the tongue. Kids love them. And you just do this concentratedly for, say, up to 3 days. You must do it concentratedly for 3 days if you're getting an attack of a flu or germ.
But
or
it's
a cold.
but it's actual salt.
They're just tasteless little tablets that just dissolve, but they're called salts.
Because you're not supposed to take much salt.
No, they're called salts.
Right. Because
Plural.
my mum told me to gargle with salt.
Well, in fact, one of them in this potency it's called sodium chloride, therefore it's salt.
Yeah.
But people who are not allowed to take salt or would be afraid of taking too much salt can take this with absolutely no problem whatsoever.
How do you know?
Because because I know.
Because you do. Oh, well, you should have said.
It actually tells you anyway. You know, you can get booklets on it.
This sounds like a load of old hippie nonsense, Joan.
Well, I haven't needed to go to a doctor for probably 40 years.
40 years?
Yeah.
I can barely go 40 minutes without going to my doctor.
And you know, you were talking about your heart.
Yeah.
Well, one of these particular tissue salts is called magnesium phosphate. And that is the heart salt. And anybody who's a Leo, and I believe you are a Leo,
Yeah.
right, that is your salt. So, what
right.
it is, I'll tell you why, it's because it's antispasmodic.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're the kind of person that's inclined to have, say, a twitchy eyelid or cramp or a lot of those things where the body just goes into little bits of spasm now and again, and if this was anything to do in any way related to the thing that you have, problems you have with your heart, well, then this is absolutely fantastic salt to take.
I'm going to write this down. And then I'll forget why I wrote it down, and I'll throw it away. Magnesium sulfate.
Phosphate.
Phosphate.
Yeah.
Right, you don't want to make that mistake, eh?
Not really. Not that the other probably would do any harm, but magnesium phosphate is what you want.
Right.
So it's really good for, as I say, antispasm in any part of the body.
And they're called tissue salts.
Yeah, it's New Era. That's the people who make them.
Oh, well, don't... other tissue salts are available.
Well, all right, I don't know, but I mean, I can only tell you about these ones.
Right. I'm gonna investigate this further on the internet and see if there are people who aren't hippies who are writing about it.
Am I a hippie?
Well, I don't know,
if
Joe.
I'm a hippie or not.
Well, what are you wearing right now?
It's stripy.
See?
It's stripy.
Guilty as charged.
And it's got tassels. Oh my God, I didn't realise how near I was.
You are.
But still, I really seriously, I mean, the other day, I mix with the family all the time. The kids are coming round, the colds and all.
Yeah, they're chock full of germs.
You know. So it started before Christmas, and oh dear, they've gone down with it. Oh yes, and this one's gone down with it, and that one's gone down with it. So the very first sign, first of all, by the way, there's this other thing, which is a teaspoonful of vinegar in warm water or hot water, and you're going to add a bit of sugar, or you're going to add a bit of honey. But I drank a glass of that.
Well, it's the cornerstone to any nutritious breakfast, yeah.
It's great. If you don't breathe, you know you're saying don't breathe. Don't breathe.
Yeah, don't breathe in.
while you're drinking this thing. And it's fine.
Vinegar in warm water with sugar?
Yeah.
Right.
But they probably don't recommend the sugar, but they recommend
I had a pint of cider that tasted like that.
Oh, yes. Well, of course, there is cider vinegar. I don't have the cider vinegar. I just take a teaspoonful of ordinary vinegar.
I could do with a couple of pints of cider vinegar right now, as a matter of fact.
You wouldn't be much good, though, would you?
Not on this show, no.
No.
I have a terrible time afterwards as well, I would imagine.
Terrible.
Yeah, Carol loves it. Booze.
Uh-huh. Does she?
I don't know.
Oh, you're blackening her name and everything.
I think that's it's quite, if not entirely black, it's very, very dark. As
So the ones you want, I'm going to follow this through.
Go on, Em.
Through. The ones you want are the combination Q and R for colds and flu stuff.
Q and R.
They're combinations. They got various salts in them. It's not just a single one.
What, there's a salt for each letter of the alphabet?
No, these are combinations. there are 12 tissue salts, okay? 3 of them are potassium, 3 of them are sodium, 1 is silica, 1 is iron, phosphorus.
Now, are you the type of person that hangs around health food stores a lot?
I'll go in there when I want my tissue salt, but I don't hang around very much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Echinacea, there's something that doesn't
No,
work.
I never bothered with that.
No.
Never. But these, you see, the minute I started using these, they worked.
Right.
From that...
You've honestly never been to the doctor in 40-odd years?
Yeah.
I find that incredible.
I'll tell you what, they took me off their register. Because they thought... Well, they must have thought I was a goner, you know?
Yeah.
They said, no, sorry, but you aren't registered with us. I said, yes, I am. And, you know, if I start to get something, I just take these concentratedly, and that's it. And all sorts of things I've used them for. And for my kids, when they were growing up and everything.
Well, you might have something there. I think further investigation is needed before anybody who's listening to this right now takes
really
any.
worth a try. But,
Yeah.
you know, as I say, for about 3 days, if something's really trying to get you, you have to go at them really a lot for 3 days and then just let up. But it works, and that is absolutely the truth. It works.
Well, that's the truth as you say it. Of course, I can't allow you to say it's the truth on this show because people might go and take a bucketful and die, and then it'll be my fault.
You can't overdose on them.
Always read the label.
You cannot overdose on them.
Okay.
That's on the label as well. Because what the body doesn't want or need. They're not like drugs. They're absolutely not drugs.
So what the body doesn't need, it gets rid of.
Yes.
And now we're back to vomiting and diarrhea.
No. Just doesn't need it. That's the end of it. So.
All right. Well, like I said, I'll investigate further.
Okay.
Thanks for the tip, Joan.
All right.
Cheers, my dear.
Bye-bye now.
0845 6060 973. We're really beginning to help on this show, aren't we?
No.
It's 9:15. Travel now with Will Gowing.
Thanks very much. One lane is free. Nick Abbott.
Hi, honey. How are you?
Hi, George. How are you?
Hi, Nick. I'm not that great.
No.
I've lost teeth, and so
Teeth?
yeah.
How many?
Well, I had a bridge, and the bridge collapsed, so I'm virtually toothless.
Oh, right.
But I can still be heard, I think.
Loud and clear.
I think something cosmic is trying to get me to shut up. I managed to get a letter in the local paper today.
Did you? Which one? The Ham and High?
The Ham and High, yeah.
Right. Well, that's a pretty prestigious local paper.
Yeah, they made a few mistakes, so...
Well, they're bound to.
But,
what was it about?
It was about what I was talking to you about recently, the TV reality show, the X Factor, Who Wishes to Be a Messiah. And,
Who wants to be a messiah?
Yeah, who wishes to be a messiah?
Yeah, don't say that out loud because that'll be on Channel 4 by the end of the week.
Well, I wish it would be. I think it should be democratic. I think we should be able to vote for a saviour. Don't you?
No, I think that rather ruins the point. But anyway, let's not get bogged down in that.
You can see it if you look on the internet.
Oh, we're getting bogged down in this.
We're not getting bogged down.
Okay.
Please wishuswell.com, and then there's a link there towards the end, and that's where the letter is. But you were talking earlier about there not being much music on television, and
yeah, virtually none at all.
And I have this idea for a music program that would span a whole year. And it would be a program for bands, the band for all seasons, and every season there would be a competition, so you would get 4 winners. And at the end of it, by support from the general public,
phone voting, yeah,
we would have the band for all seasons, and it would be very cheap television to make. I mean, bands would just send in videos, and some selection process would go on, and there's lots of talent out there that never gets a chance of being seen or heard, and I think something like that should happen.
That doesn't actually sound like a bad idea. A band for all seasons. That's a great title.
Yeah.
Of course, television executives would start swarming all over it, and then they would insist that bands be styled by a resident stylist, and any band that's worth its salt would hate that. Plus, They would want them to cover songs that the audience would know in order to get a larger viewing
No, I think
public.
the bands would send in their own videos.
Yeah, but people who make television programs won't be interested in that. They'll just want various versions of Unchained Melody.
I don't think so.
Well, look at the rubbish that is wildly successful in on all continents. The X Factor and Pop Idol and all that rubbish. They're all doing cover versions of songs everyone already knows.
Well, it still doesn't come anywhere near the X Factor. That is the program that has to happen. We need to vote for a saviour.
Right. Well, that ain't going to happen. But anyway, like I said, let's not get bogged down in God.
It's not God. And which God would you be talking about anyway?
Mine.
Gods there be many, as Paul says in one of his letters. St. Paul, that is. But I say, check out pleasewishuswell.com.
No, I absolutely won't do that.
You won't do that?
No.
There's a link towards the end, and I think you'll enjoy the letter.
Right. Well, like I said, I'll do that straight after the show.
Very good.
Thanks a lot, George.
Thanks.
Ta-ra. 0845 6060 973. Crazy Russian Premier Vlad the Insaner. You remember him, right?
Oh, yeah, we haven't heard from him for a while. He's been quiet.
Yeah.
Of late.
Well, he's been taking his shirt off and admiring himself in the mirror.
Oh, yeah, wasn't there a hilarious video with him in it?
A video?
Yeah, I'm sure.
I think it's a judo video.
Isn't he a black belt in one of the martial arts?
Maybe judo.
Well, that would fit, yeah. He's a very small person, has a very low centre of gravity, so judo might be his sport, yeah. Never get into a fight with a small, wide person. Even or rather, especially if you're tall and thin.
They can take you down.
Yeah, you'll fall like a tree. Anyway, he's not doing a very good job of saving the planet. Russia yesterday admitted that customs officials thwarted more than 120 attempts to smuggle, take a deep breath, highly radioactive material out of the country last year. They thwarted more than 120 attempts. Now, what would be the success rate, do you think? I mean, what's the success rate of thwarting people taking drugs out of a country? You'd think it would be like, at best, 1 in 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that means over 1,000 attempts to smuggle highly radioactive material out of the country was successful. It's out there somewhere, in lunatics' hands. This isn't a happy thought. I don't even know why I'm saying this. The disclosure is likely to fuel concern about how many illegal exports were not halted. It will also lead to new fears that Moscow has failed to stop material becoming available on the black market that could be used by terrorists to make radioactive, dirty bombs. I don't know about you, but I can't believe that it hasn't happened already. A further 700... In fact, I avoid... that really is getting into dark territory. A further 722 cases of illegal importing of highly radioactive material into Russia were detected. Possible evidence of a dangerous trade between ex-Soviet states. I only read that because it was top of my pile, but I wish I hadn't done that now. Like I said before. We're doomed, huh?
You're a bit upset.
Well, a little bit, yeah.
The bird flu.
I mean, property prices are on a steady slide down, but if somebody lets off a dirty bomb in the middle of, say, Chelsea, then all those homes that cost £5 million to walk through the front door, they won't be worth anything at all. Mind you, it's all Russians living there now at the moment, so essentially it's their comrades' fault.
Yeah, they might be making it in their front room.
On their baby bellings. Yeah.
There was a film about that, about smuggling some radioactive stuff out of the former Soviet Union, or one of the former Soviet Union countries.
Really?
Yeah, and then getting some disenchanted scientists that are not getting paid anything really by to build a bomb for terrorists. And
wasn't that Spooks?
Was that a James Bond film?
No, it was one of them.
Oh no, let me guess.
Tom Clancy books.
Oh right.
So yeah, it was made into a film, but it was quite a plausible idea, really.
But not a happy one.
No, not. It didn't have a happy. Did it? Yeah, it did have a happy ending. It was an American film.
Yeah,
yeah.
That is required. Yeah.
Did they just plug the flag down?
Yeah, everything was all right.
And I bet the man got the girl in the end.
He did.
Yeah.
Of course.
Beatles songs are going to be used in adverts for the first time ever. Which, no, I'm not a great fan of the Beatles. I do own some of their albums, but I never play them ever. But I do think that this is one of the last catalogues of songs that has been offered up to advertisers. And the first one, it does give you an indication as to how dispiriting this might turn out to be. The Beatles' back catalogue has been offered for use in advertisements for the first time, prompting fears that the band's legacy will be harmed. And my initial thought was, good grief, how much money does Paul McCartney need? But it's got nothing to do with him, apparently, because he doesn't have control of any of his songs anymore.
Isn't it Michael Jackson? Does he still have them?
I think he's got some, and I'll come to that. The explanation is at the end of the piece. In a move likely to confirm those fears, one of the first deals signed is with Procter & Gamble in a campaign which will promote its Love's Nappies to the tune of All You Need Is Love.
Oh, no!
Yes. The last word of the song will be changed to Loves.
Someone will get nappies.
Other bids are being considered by Sony ATV Music Publishing, which owns the rights to 259 Lennon and McCartney songs. So it's Sony. A small number of songs have already been authorised for use, provided they are re-recorded by other artists. Sony ATV says it would use the songs in brand partnerships, which would, get this, enhance the original music's reputation. How the hell can you enhance the reputation of a Beatles song? It's through the roof already. Mm-hmm. No other band in history has more love and affection pointed at it than the Beatles. I mean, if the Beatles, by magic, could reform, the rush to get tickets to that would kill Led Zeppelin if they happen to be in the way.
They'd be trampled. Death.
They'd be, trampled underfoot.
Just imagine
did you see what I did there?
Very good.
Trampled underfoot. Physical graffiti.
Rock and roll!
I'm just trying to think how much tickets would go for.
As much as they want to charge.
It would be like millions of pounds, wouldn't it?
People would be selling their children. Quizzed as to how So Sony say that they're going to use the songs in brand partnerships which would enhance the original music's reputation. Quizzed as to how a nappy commercial would enhance a pop classic, Chief Executive Martin Bandier said, "The thought and the song were ideal for morning TV when young mothers are watching. We thought it was very tasteful." Right. Nappies. The Beatles lost control of their catalogue in 1969 when their Northern Songs publishing company was sold to ATV Music. So no mention of Michael Jackson, but it's Sony. So
did he have to sell them recently? Wasn't that how he? Because he was so ridiculously in debt. That was what he was advised to do, is to sell
the Beatles catalogue.
Yeah, because that would be his biggest earner.
He kept hold of the Elephant Man's head. Did he not buy that?
Did he?
Yeah,
Isn't that just a rumour?
I thought he bought the Elephant Man's head.
What, and stuck it in some vinegar or something, embalmed it and put it in Neverland?
Well, I imagine it's just a skull now.
That might be quite interesting, actually, to have. As a piece. It's a conversation starter.
Right, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
What's that? Oh, it's my elephant man's head.
It would be a conversation starter if it was on a plinth in the middle of your living room, spot-lit, wouldn't it? Yeah, you wouldn't be able to ignore it. But that takes some doing. I mean, how much money has Michael Jackson earned? Thriller is the second biggest-selling album in history, second only to the Beatles, the Eagles' greatest hits.
Boring!
And he spent all of that money?
Are you trying to tell me that this is your act?
Yeah, the number, like the nice man said, is 08 45 6060 973. The main story in the papers today was about the teenage pregnancy rate, which is staggering. I mean, when you read it as a vague number for the year, you kind of take it in and you don't, you can't put it into context. But when they say more than 20 schoolgirls are becoming pregnant every day in this country, then that really hits it right home, doesn't it? smacks you in the face. 20 a day. Fueling fears, it says here, that the government's sex education strategies are backfiring. Fueling fears. I think the results are in. This leaves England and Wales with the highest birth rate for under-16s in Western Europe. We're number one. Again. Seriously, what is wrong with this country? We're number one for getting drunk and falling around. We're number one for teenage pregnancies, number one for taking drugs, number one for violence. There isn't a negative thing that we don't come out top in, or bottom, depending on which way you want to think about it. There must be something wrong with the British psyche. We can't get anything right. This leaves England and Wales with the highest birth rate for the under-16s in Western Europe. In some areas, nearly one schoolgirl in every 50 is falling pregnant. Why do they say falling pregnant? That never actually seems right to me. Why do you fall pregnant? The highest rate was the London borough of Lambeth, where 20 out of every 1,000 girls aged between 13 and 15 became pregnant. Lambeth, number one. Southwark and Lewisham, also in London, featured in the top 10. What is coincidental to Lambeth, Southwark and Lewisham? What's the thing that links them? Does anybody have any idea? Professor David, an economist at the Nottingham University Business School, said the underlying social deprivation of an area, family breakdown rates, and religion seems to have a greater effect on teenage pregnancy rates than the more obvious policies such as sex education or providing access to family planning. There was a big to-do about this a while ago, about sex education and the lack of it in school. Is there actually sex education in school these days, or do they still do what they used to do and tell you that it's dirty, don't do it?
I had a video when I was younger. No,
really?
I mean,
but we're talking about sex education.
Brother.
That's it?
Well, the video wasn't particularly interesting or good.
Right.
It didn't tell me anything.
What was it, Die Hard?
And then afterwards they try and make it all serious and say if anyone has any questions.
Yeah.
And you're trying to get 11-year-olds to ask questions about sex and make it seem serious, but at that age it's just a joke to them.
Yeah. Giggling at the back they are.
Yeah.
There has been a tendency for the government's teenage pregnancy strategy to focus on creating schemes where teenagers can get the morning after pill or other forms of family planning at school or clinics, which I always thought was a good idea. But this professor says the danger with this sort of approach is that it can lead to an increase in risky sexual behaviour amongst some young people. There is now overwhelming evidence that such schemes are simply not effective in cutting teenage pregnancy rates. Well, the fact that we're faced with 20 schoolgirls becoming pregnant every day would suggest that's right. Dr. Adrian of Pressure Group Family Focus said it's absolutely vital that we start to teach teenagers that having a baby is nothing like having a fashion accessory such as a new handbag. Are kids really that dumb?
Probably.
In 2006, Beverly Hughes, Minister for Children, announced that she would call in the 22 councils with the highest or fastest increasing rates in order to set them targets and make them submit to quarterly action plans. When in doubt, set a target.
Yeah, because we all know those work.
Yeah, and fashion an action plan. And when you fashion an action plan, that means you don't have to talk about it anymore. You can fold your arms.
And say you've done it.
Yeah, job done.
You've done something.
Surbiton. Hello, Paul.
Hello, Nick.
Paul.
Hello, dear. I didn't call about this, but that's come on, we've got to wear a badge of honour. We don't top the league in Europe in very much, but teenage pregnancies and cocaine abuse, come on, we've got to be right up there.
Yeah, you're right. I am swelled with pride.
Yeah, we don't top the league in very much.
No, that's true. Yeah,
let's make the most of it. This business about nuclear stuff coming out of Russia, etc.
Yes.
So cool. Do you know what Russia did when they disarmed and got rid of some of their weapons after the Cold War? They just simply dumped them next door in the former Soviet Union, what are now former Soviet Union states. Literally, there's hundreds and hundreds of weapons merrily decaying in those states. Getting hold of the stuff is not difficult.
Yeah, and I believe that they aren't really, they're not guarded with any great...
they're just merrily decaying there. You can get hold of the stuff as easy as you can, you buy your pork chops and on the way home they'll cook themselves. It's crazy. And the Soviet Union, they knew what they were doing before it all disintegrated and they became Russia, but that is the truth. There are hundreds of these things sitting there just decaying in the ground.
What is surprising is that we haven't seen them exploding here.
That is surprising, actually, yeah, because, you can see what's going to possibly happen with
touching wood as I say it.
Well, dirty bombs, you just grab a case of the stuff because you can't making a nuclear weapon is not easy.
No.
Which states know about. They know it's not easy. But anyway, that's the truth of the matter, unfortunately. But that is a fact, and
it's
great program, by the way.
Thanks a lot, mate. It's the Chinese curse of living in interesting times.
Yes.
Although, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, of course. But I'm glad that I'm living now rather than at any other time in history. Because, at no other time in history did you have an iPod Touch.
See you later, Nick.
Thanks, Paul. 0845 6060 973.
I actually read about, because I'm quite interested in a geeky way about the kind of, these, because the Soviets, they built up massive arsenal of weapons to, compete against the West during the Cold War.
Yeah, what a giant waste of money that was.
Yeah, and then and they didn't have the resources. They ran out of money to maintain all this stuff.
Correct.
But I read it kind of interests me what happened to it all, and I read that apparently the main nuclear submarine base had its electricity turned off because they didn't pay their bill. And they had to send the army round to the electricity company to turn it back on because these nuclear submarines reactors were starting to go into meltdown, basically.
That is staggering.
Yeah,
I do remember reading something like that myself. Yeah, would you mind ever so much switching us back on again?
Yeah.
Or we'll kill you.
Exactly.
If only we could do that over to the Lecky company when they send us a bill.
Yeah, be nice.
But I don't think that would be acceptable behaviour. Even if they tell you that you owe them £700 more than you thought you did.
Oh yeah, you haven't got your bill for Christmas yet, have you?
No.
Of lighting your giant tree.
Yeah. Well, you have to keep... Hey, when are you supposed to take down the tree, by the way?
Day after Christmas.
Don't be daft, lad. It took 2 weeks to put it up.
Is it 12 days after max, isn't it?
After max?
After maximum of 12 days after Christmas, isn't it?
I saw someone who still got Christmas lights outside their house with a flashing Santa.
Oh, well, that's too much. I'm loath to take my tree down because there'll be a giant hole in the... in
your life.
Yeah, well, there will. It will look empty without it. I've become attached. I've become attached to my baubles. And some of them I've only just bought because, of course, after Christmas you can get them at 50% off. This is the only sensible time to actually buy Christmas baubles because just before Christmas they cost a fortune. So now I've made the addition to the tree, and every time you touch it, of course, a fountain, a waterfall of needles cascades to the carpet. But it was worth it just to put the extra colourful things on there, and I don't want to take them down. I don't want to.
Stop whining. So when is the very last time that you can reasonably keep them up? Stephen.
Yeah, good evening and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
It's nice to hear you. I just tuned. I was listening for last hour or something, but I heard just a moment ago talking about taking down the Christmas tree.
Yeah.
And me and my wife today we laughed about it because we are Polish. We have a Christmas tree. And in Poland, you can have a Christmas tree even as long as end of February.
Really?
But Steve Allen would love it because he loves Christmas, you know.
You can have, in Poland, a Christmas tree until the end of February.
Yeah, you can. And it's not a very bad thing. Actually, many years ago, I was too lazy to take it down, and I had it till middle of April, but then my dad got upset and said, you have to take it down because it's standing, you know.
I mean, by the middle of April, it won't have any needles on it. It'll be a skeleton.
No, it was the artificial tree. You know, you have.
Oh, artificial trees. I hate those.
Well, we bought artificial tree because we thought, okay, you know, like it's such a short time. We didn't have much. I mean, okay, we had money, but we just didn't want to spend it on a real Christmas tree. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Stephen. The correct answer to that the get out of jail free card on fake Christmas trees is that you did it because you are interested in saving the planet. You didn't want to cut trees down.
Well, maybe like that, but also, you know, have some, you know, save a little bit of cash, you know, because you can get yourself a little small branches, you know, put them in a house, you know, have a little aroma, you know, like atmosphere. But it's funny, like every country has a different attitudes towards Christmas.
Right. I like that idea, leaving it to the end of February, because a Christmas tree in your front room gives you colour, doesn't it? It gives you colour and light and something pretty to look at, when the outside is dull and grey and all the trees are off all the leaves are off the trees. So by the end of February, spring is poking its little head through the ground, and it starts to look. You start to have hope again. Life almost seems worth living, right? So at that point, you could swap the tree for a little bit of hope.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, I mean, it's like a nice decoration. Stays in a home, doesn't bother anybody. Kids loved it, you know. And, you know, I can put a TV on and watch something, you know, with a Christmas tree in the background blinking a little bit, you know, giving like a little, little tingle to the room, you know.
Yeah, that blinking Christmas tree. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for that, Stephen. I'll think about. I might never take it down.
Yeah. Well,
you leave it up long enough, and it hardly seems worth it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Thanks, mate. 0845 6060 973. This is LBC. It's 9:45. Travel now with Will Gowing.
Still looking at problems. Nick Abbott.
You're wondering what it's all about, and I can't tell you because I don't know myself.
Beckenham. Hello, Jim.
Hi, good evening, Nick.
Jim.
You were asking about what's going wrong with this country.
Yes.
And I think it's because we used to be an empire, and like all empires, as we start to fall apart, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse for the next few hundred years.
Well, that's a happy thought.
I know, it's horrible, isn't it? Look at Greece, Rome, every empire, Incas, the Aztec, every empire just goes to pot in every other way, known to man.
Well, they go to they lose the empire, but that doesn't mean to say that their society breaks down.
Well, it does, because I mean, I'm not an imperialist. I'm against the empire all the way, but I think the majority of the people, they see what they used to have, and they mourn it, and they become depressed, and they lose the will to go on.
No, I can't believe that's true at all. I mean, most people have got no idea what we used to have. I mean, kids come out of school, they don't know that the map used to be coloured pink.
Yeah, well, I think maybe it's...
They think that Pink is a singer with a bolt through her face.
I think they have a sort of a little bit of knowledge about history. They know that Britain used to be rule 2/3 of the world. The map used to be all Britain.
Yeah, how did we do that, by the way?
God knows.
We can't organise a train schedule.
No.
How on earth did we do that?
And talking about the girls getting pregnant underage and all this, that's just one of a million problems we have. You try to solve that, and on one hand, and then you get inundated by problems and 100 other problems on the other hand. There's just no answer to it. The whole thing is falling apart. So you just have to take each day as it comes, be as happy as you can, and then you die.
Yeah, and even if you eat 5 vegetables and fruit a day, if you exercise vigorously and keep yourself healthy and wise, you'll die anyway.
Yeah, in a few years' time, they'll probably say that vegetables are bad for you.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, we almost go back to smoking 20 fags a day. Yeah.
Yeah, like that doctor, like the doctors used to say a few years ago. You know, they used to. I was reading in one of the papers tonight that they used to advocate smoking was good for you.
Exactly. Well, the Dr. Allinson, the Allinson of the bread that you buy on your supermarket shelves, he was struck off, as I said earlier on, for saying that smoking is bad for you, because at the time, doctors used to recommend a cigar to clear your chest.
That's right. Well, all this health kick, You know, when you go running, say you run a marathon.
Yeah.
But the good that it does you, the bad that it does you, probably outweighs the good by 1,000 to 1.
Well, I was reading about this the other day, and I've always thought that running is very bad for your hips and your knees and all the rest of it, because you're smashing your limbs into the ground over and over and over again. But they just, again, it's one of these studies that defies common sense, that is probably all about maintaining their funding. But they did say that all of that's wrong. It doesn't ruin your knees and your ankles and your hips, because your hip bone's connected to your
thigh bone.
Everyone likes to play that game.
I took up jogging for a while some years ago.
Yeah.
And I've never been in such pain and been so unwell.
Right.
And I took up swimming, and that's the best exercise you can possibly.
Yeah, I agree with you. However, the problem with swimming is that you have to get wet.
Oh, well, you get used to that. Yeah, when I go swimming, I use earplugs, a nose guard, hair thing, hat, and
you climb inside a plastic ball. Yeah.
Not quite, but I'll take every precaution.
You use earplugs?
Yeah, you can get these wax earplugs that you put into your ears. It keeps the water out.
How do you keep the wax earplugs in, though?
They mould into your ear. You push them in.
Yeah, I use those in order to sleep through my furry alarm clock that the madman drags up and down outside my window at 7:30 in the morning. But
are you using the same ones? I think you use the solid plastic ones.
No, I don't. No, I can't use those. They're they come as a sort of a tube.
4 or 6 in the bottom.
Yeah.
And
are they
wax.
specifically for swimming?
They're for long distance swimming.
Oh, right.
You were talking about doing 30 or 40 lengths, weren't you?
60 I used to do.
I used to do 500 a day for 4 days a week.
What?
You have to meditate. You have to transcendental meditate. You just go up and down, up and down.
I know, I couldn't stand it anymore. Well, I used to count. I used to count to get to 60, and you'd lose count because you just weren't concentrating anymore.
Well,
you think, oh, blimey.
Sorry.
Go on.
No,
go on.
Charity swims.
Yeah.
I've done a few of them, and you do 500 lengths for charity. And
well, how long a length are we talking about?
Well, the pool I used to use
3
was
feet.
33 feet, but the one up at Crystal Palace is meters, 50 meters. That's
Right.
Olympic size. But
you do 500 lengths of a 50-metre pool?
33-metre pool.
Right.
And
well, even so, that's amazing.
Well,
the thing with swimming that you don't get with going to the gym is after a good long swim, you get out and you feel as though you're floating.
Oh, you feel fantastic.
You feel like you're high.
Before I started, I remember I was running for a bus, and my heart rate used to be around about the mid-90s or higher. And after a few years of swimming regularly, it was down to mid-60s.
It's amazing how quickly you build up your stamina, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a fantastic sport.
Because when you start, you've barely got the energy to climb into the pool.
Well, I struggled. I was in my 30s before I started, and I was struggling to one length.
But don't you get bored out your mind? I mean, I got bored on 60 lengths. 500 lengths, I couldn't imagine it. That must take you all day.
No, it only takes a couple of hours. But I used to meditate. I used to just, you don't... It was strange, but it was... even if somebody got in your way, it wasn't as if they were there. You just go round them. You'd glide round them or glide under
Right,
them.
well, I wouldn't glide so much as come coughing and spluttering to the surface and go around them like a dog would.
Oh, well, I used to enjoy it, but they closed the baths down and they opened up a new all singing, all dancing, where it was only open at certain times for certain groups. And,
what?
Yeah, you could, if you were a one-parent mother or whatever it is, you could only go in at certain times. So you could, at the most, you could only get maybe an hour, and that was once in a blue moon. And
Right.
the pool was only about 1 feet deep for half the length. It's I wouldn't say where, but it put me right off. The pool I used to go to was an old Victorian pool, and the showers were freezing cold. The water was dirty, but it was always empty.
Well, there's two good reasons right there.
But at least you got a good swim.
Right.
I remember one day swimming, and there was I think it was you. There was cockroaches floating about in the water.
Lovely.
And
so you could have a tasty snack as you're swimming. Keep you going, eh?
No wonder it was empty.
Yeah.
But I used to enjoy it.
The good old days, eh?
But that was in the days of the Empire, the Victorian swimming pool.
Right.
Now we have these leisure pools that you can never use.
Too many people taking leisure.
And too expensive as well.
All right, well, I might just do that. Wax earplugs, eh?
Wax earplugs.
I'll give it a go.
Remember the nose clip.
Wow, I mean, wax earplugs. Wax earplugs on, goggles, and a nose clip.
And you can get the special goggles. You can get, you know, the rubbish goggles that let in water.
Yeah.
You can get the goggles that don't let in water. Again, they're the long-distance goggles. They're quite difficult to come by, but you can get them, and they do work. They do keep the water out.
You know what? What also keeps the water out? If you just forget the swimming and sit on the couch and watch TV. Give it a go, Jim. It might work for you.
I'll give that a go.
Thanks a lot.
Good night, then.
Cheers, ta-ra. 0845 6060 973.
This.
Come on, we're running late!
Coming up on Nick Ferrari, by the way, on tomorrow's breakfast show, he's going to be asking if the endorsement of Ken Livingstone by several Muslim organisations will actually sway Muslim voters. He gets the latest from the Iowa presidential primary. I'm still a bit confused about all that. Are both parties, and it is a bit odd that there's only two, but are both parties electing their own leaders in the primaries? That's what that is, right? I believe so. Anyway, Nick knows more about this than I do, almost about that and everything else. And he's going to be asking, why do we love the 80s? Do we? The 80s. I love the 70s, because the 70s was fantastic. It started with the fallout from the hippie movement and ended with the punk movement. Two completely opposite movements in music. And the stuff that was in between was fabulous. Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin and Bad Company and Free and all of that good stuff. So the 70s was great. The 80s, on the other hand, Boy George and Spandau Ballet. And Chrome. I can't think of anything else.
And leggings.
Yeah, a really bad hair. And Footloose.
There's a theory that basically fashion comes around in kind of 17 to 20 year cycles, basically. So
I thought it was 10-year cycle.
No,
well, only it comes around again.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So basically, we're in the 80s one now, and then the next decade will be in the 90s one again. Because remember, last decade it was 70s was in.
Was it?
Was it?
There was a lot of 70s fashion and things, and colours were in.
Who decides these things?
Yeah, I don't know. But they all seem to make their mind up and decide them as one, don't they?
They're mostly badly dressed people as well.
Yeah, I think it's because, I mean...
Yeah, designers are already badly dressed, in much the same way as hairdressers have the worst hair. Yeah.
Because my girlfriend deals in retro clothing and stuff, so she...
Want some loons?
She's got like coat that she opens and all this stuff hanging, and she was saying, that's basically how it works, because it's like into the next kind of generation.
Right. Okay, well, all this and more will be revealed on Nick's show tomorrow morning from 7. Hey, Raj, what have we talked about tonight?
Sex amongst macaws, pregnancy rates in Britain, democracy, fast food league, French people's diets.
French people.
Themed cakes.
Yes.
Fingers in pies.
Oh, yeah.
Battered Mars bars.
Yes. Must go faster.
Disc, homemade fudge sauce, Victorian doctors getting struck off.
Faster.
Thickness of bread, yes. Antibiotics, flu jabs, weather, animals getting in homes, Jules Holland, Dragon's Den, why Britain is so bad, swimming, and the 80s.
Oh, well done, mate. I'm Nick Abbott, LB seeing you. Anthony Davis is next. Hey, Anthony.
Hey, Nick. Hey, none of that stuff I'm talking about tonight.
Very good.
So, thank you very much indeed for the last 3. I'm here for the next 3.